Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. We'll wait 2-3 minutes and then we'll begin. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, we'll talk about today. It's going to be all about Gandhi. We'll talk about first Gandhi and his life. Thereafter, South Africa, because people tend to not talk about South Africa, very important. And thereafter, we'll talk about Champaran, Kheda, and Ahmedabad. So it's going to be advent of Gandhi into India and their first three interventions, Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad. Why did he go to South Africa? We'll discuss that. Why was he there in South Africa? We'll discuss all these things. These are issues we have to discuss. Okay. So yesterday we reached what? 1915. Now we'll again go back in time to come to 1915-16 and today we'll end at 1918. From tomorrow we enter into mass nationalism phase or Gandhian phase, wherein we'll start with Rowlatt, NCM, Rowlatt, Jallianwala Bagh, NCM, Chauri Chaura, so Rajesh No Changers. Thereafter, you will have Simon Commission, then CDM. CDM will lead us to Gandhi versus Bose. That in turn will lead us to the concept of August Offer, Cripps Mission, and then Indian independence. So this is the basic sequence of things which you are going to do. Yes. So I'll recap what we did yesterday so that we can come together in that regard. Pune packed everything, McDonald offer, McDonald award, round table conferences, INA, everything will do. So before we go into Gandhi himself, this is the period, this is the basic thing which we covered yesterday. And in a way, we've been covering two major timelines together. We previously have covered from 1857, 1861, 1885, and thereafter we had 1897, 1892, then 1899, 1902, 1904, 1906, then 190, but we need to correspond it with what was happening 1906, 1909, 1912, 1913, and then 1915. And parallelly to it, we did 1899, thereafter 1903, 1904, then 1905, 1906, 1907, and 1916. So the two basic strands we've covered previously is that this is the revolutionary activities, and this is political extremism. So we started with revolt of 1857. Then you have Indian Council Act This is also Indian Council Act. This is formation of INC. Thereafter, 1897, the Chapekar brothers. 1899, Calcutta Corporation Act. Then announcement of partition of Bengal. Then you have two acts here, Indian Universities Act and you have the Official Secrets Act. Thereafter, partition of Bengal. This is all the period of Swadeshi. This is Banaras session, Calcutta session, Surat split, and yesterday last thing we did was Lucknow Pact, where they actually came back. And parallelly to this, if you remember, we did the other part of the story. 1899 was the formation of Mitra Mela. Thereafter, 1902 was the formation of Anushilhan. By 1904, Abhinav Bharat plus Mitra Mela. This is Yugantar. Thereafter, in between this period, you have 1907 and 1908. You have 1907, Fuller and Fraser attempts. This is Kingsford assassination. 1909 is significant because of the fact that we have Morley Minto and Jackson assassination plus Madan Lal Dhingra. Here it is Delhi conspiracy case, and this is the period of Gadar movement. And if you take it till 1916, Home Rule League. This is what we discussed yesterday. Wherein we brought in all the timelines together. First class, we discussed the lower timeline, which is the political extremism timeline. And thereafter, we added the revolutionary activities timeline. Therefore, what is going to happen is we are now converging at the same point of time. But we need to now go back a little bit because we now need to add Gandhi to this story, because Gandhi has a totally different trajectory after 1888. So, are we clear with regards to this basic timeline? Lucknow Pact is when moderate extremists come back under the concept of cooperation, because Gokhale was dead, and along with that, Firoz Shah Mehta was also dead. So, are we clear with regards to this basic timeline? Come on. I told you first thing I'll do is I'll give you the timeline again, but integrated timeline. This is called micro timelining. When I will give you the master timeline in the end, I'll remove the unnecessary details from this story. Home Rule League movement is nothing but Tilak and Annie Besant starting something on the lines of Irish Home Rule League. The issue was they wanted independence or partial independence within the British itself, and nobody trusted Annie Besant, so Annie Besant had a separate Home Rule League, Tilak had a separate Home Rule League. Nothing more, nothing less. Annulment of partition of Bengal is 1912, with 1911 rather, Delhi Darbar. Okay. Can I now discuss the basic timeline of Gandhi, and then we can start our discussion with regards to Gandhi itself. Fuller and Fraser, the attempts on their life not possible, were not successful. Fuller, Fraser, both by Anushilhan. All three are technically Anushilhan only. Can we start, everybody? Come on. Yes? Okay. So our first timeline is clear. This is the gist of the two classes which we discovered, which we've discussed till this point. Remember, this is how you revise. Within 5 minutes, we've revised everything what we've done. Learn to make these timelines because it will help you in generally consolidating your preparation and generally consolidating areas such as modern India. With multiple dates, multiple timelines, you need to know how to create this also. Okay. Now, today's agenda is Gandhi. And Gandhi has a different trajectory itself. So, it converges with Indian timeline in 1915, but he has a totally different life story. The year 1869, he will be born 2nd October. Thereafter, 1876, 1888, 1891, 1893, then 1896 to 1906, and thereafter 1906, then 1915, then 1917, and then 1918. This is the basic timeline we will traverse today also. General, basic, generic timeline. Now, why are these dates generally important? So, this will be Gandhi will be born 2nd October. 1876 is an important year because he completes his studies. In Rajkot. So he comes from a very good family that way. I will discuss that with you. Thereafter, he went to London for law or barrister degree. Then 1891 is a significant moment because he will reach South Africa. He will reach South Africa because of a person. His name was Dada Abdullah. Dada Abdullah was what is called a Gujarati merchant. He's a Gujarati merchant in South Africa, and he wanted a lawyer, so he employed Gandhi. So some of you asked me, he only took 8 years to complete the degree. Doesn't really matter to me. Sure, why not? And how he completed in 7 years? Again, genius. That is the basic timeline. Genius. Gandhi was very smart in studies. Don't worry. So Dada Abdullah, Gujarati merchant in South Africa, he wanted a barrister who actually needed a personality or person who could represent him in the South African courts. So Gandhi's first employment is actually from London itself. He was contacted by Dada Abdullah. So some of you asked me that why was Gandhi in South Africa? He was in South Africa because of the fact that he got his first job there. And as it is, I will tell you, when he was leaving for London in 1888, there was a lot of friction before he left. So again, you are asking me, or you're telling me that it should be 1886. But I am telling you it is 1876. When you mean studies, he's in a princely state. There's no concept of 10 plus 2. So don't add the years and make out or figure out or give me fictitious dates. So 1886 he should have completed. He completed in 1876. That is the basic point you need to understand. So 1888 he leaves India. Now 1893 is a very significant year because no, this is reversed. This should be 1893. This should be completing the degree. 1 second. 1891 he will complete his degree. Completes his law degree in London. This is first employment. Travels to South Africa. Dada Abdullah gives him employment. South African merchant, Gujarati merchant. Now 1896, you have the fact that 1896 to 1906 he will very simply go into what is called moderate phase. See, what I will do is that I'll remove this word so that you don't get confused. Now better? Now according to you physically possible? That he starts the studies in 1876 and then completes it by 1887? Doesn't matter. But still, moderate phase of Gandhi, and thereafter 1906 to 1915 is called the period of Satyagraha phase. I was writing the last concept in the 1876, but you need proper, he started and then he completed. Very good, no issues. Satyagraha phase. Thereafter, then you have Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad. This is the basic timeline we cover. 1869, he is born, 2nd October. 1876, he starts his studies and goes on till 1887, till he does his studies, now physically possible. I just written the period within which he completes his the Rajkot degree, but somehow confusing. Thereafter, 1888, he will go to London to study for barrister degree or law degree. 1891 completes his law degree in London. Thereafter, 1893, he will be getting his first employment, wherein he will be called to South Africa by Dada Abdullah. Then you have two very important phases, moderate phase and Satyagraha phase. Please understand this very, very clearly, that this all is in South Africa, because some of you think that only Satyagraha is not a concept which he developed in India. He did not develop it in India, he developed it in South Africa. And that is why South African experience is very, very important. Champaran, you will see some places 1916 written, Kheda and Ahmedabad 1917 written. But it's the end date which matters. So 17 and 18 it is considered. But this is the basic sequence. Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad. 1 year did not do anything. 1917 onwards, he started to intervene in that regard. So the basic point is, you don't need to care about till 1893. The story is irrelevant. It's about discussing this moderate phase and Satyagraha phase and understanding what is Satyagraha, and then why does he come back to India? When he does come back to India, what is the impact, and what did he do in Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad? So his early life history is just for your reference. If you don't want to learn it, don't learn it. I have to give you the larger context here that I'm giving you. So very simply, when did he start his Rajkot degree? When did he complete it? Does not really matter to me. What matters to me is what he was technically doing in South Africa. This is what we are going to cover for today. This is the agenda. So in a way, we are going back to 1869. Then we'll come till 1918. 1917 is mostly the date considered. So when I'm writing the dates, they're not incorrect. Because Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad is just 2 years before Rowlatt Satyagraha. That is the way you remember. So are we clear with regards to what we have to cover? Now I have to add the details in each and every date. Yes? Okay. Perfect. So 1869, 1876, 1888, 91, 93, 96, 1906, 1915, 1917, 1918. I will make this again, maybe in the end or tomorrow first thing, as you know, just for revision. Now what we have to understand is, why is Gandhi Gandhi? Montague Declaration is going to be 1917. Don't worry, August 1917. I'm not adding that, Bhardwaj. That is going to be linked with Rowlatt Satyagraha. So that's a carrot stick policy. We'll see that. Right, today's agenda is to concentrate on Gandhi. Okay. Now, the first and foremost thing is that you need to understand three very simple things about Gandhi. See, it is very easy to criticize Gandhi. It's very, very easy to take out a lot of nitpicking. It is very easy to say that he this, he that. His methodology can be critiqued. He can do anything. You can say anything about him. But the point of the matter is, Gandhi was Gandhi, which is that there was no leader at this point of time who had the power, who had the control, or who even had the strategy to do what he did. So there are a lot of things which Gandhi's understanding has. Gandhian studies are basically departments in colleges, but we need to understand it relevant to the national movement, and he will be now one figure who will be always in the background. So nowadays it is quite easy to do these things, but our discussion is not about Gandhian methodology. We'll discuss about Satyagraha, but it's about understanding how did he impact the national movement itself. Second is that we need to understand where does Gandhi pick up all these ideas, and why is that I'm saying that his South African experience is very, very important. Because people tend to argue that when Gandhi landed in 1915, his power was based on just his methodology, which is not true. His power, his aura, his charisma was based on the concept of what he had done in South Africa. So his South African experience is important because before he reached the Indian shores, he had already fine-tuned Satyagraha. Rather than coming to India, then figuring out moderate phase, then going into Satyagraha phase, he already knew what to do by the time he lands in India. So when Gandhi reaches India, he already knew what he was doing, rather than he finding his way, much like the Indian National Congress. That the Indian National Congress is figuring it out, moderates, extremists, they don't have an understanding what should be the basic configuration, what should be the basic understanding. Rather, Gandhi knew what he was doing even before he landed in India. So let's start with his basic understanding, which is that there are a lot of formative influences on Gandhi. So born in 1869, he will be born to the Rajkot princely state, and more than that, his father came from a very good family. But equally important was that his father was a Diwan. So Diwan means what? What position? General administration, revenue administration. What is that position? Diwan is revenue administration. Very good. So his father was basically the Diwan of Rajkot itself, and he comes from a very what we call as old community of merchants. He comes from a merchant community. So his forefathers were already involved in the Surat, Gujarat, that Gujarat sector trade in that regard. So the first thing is that he comes from a mercantile community. And this mercantile community, this merchant community in Gujarat itself, they have always been assertive about their rights. They have always been assertive about their rights. So very simply, this spirit of resistance which Gandhi generally embodies, which is to fight for his rights, something is inbuilt into his community itself. Something is inbuilt into his community itself, which is the spirit of resistance. That I will take my place and I will get my rights somehow or the other. So the spirit of resistance is very, very important, which he generally embodies. Now, please pay attention to it. Don't type listen to me, because these are the things which add up to make Gandhi what he was. Thereafter, he was also influenced by his mother quite a lot, Putli Bai. Now, Putli Bai comes from the Vaishnavite community of Gujarat. Vaishnavite community means the devotees of Vishnu. And being from a Vaishnavite tradition, in Gujarat, there's a major concept which is inbuilt into Vaishnavism, which is the concept of self-suffering. When you will do ancient and medieval with me, I will tell you that this is something related to the Jain philosophy, which is the concept of self-suffering, wherein you purify yourself via self-suffering. And the most important way of purifying oneself are fasts, which is you don't eat anything as a form of penance, as a form of purification of yourself. So the concept of fasting, which Gandhi took it to a next level itself, he picked up from his mother. So this concept that Gandhi every time, anytime, whenever there was something which he wanted and you were not going to give it to him, he will say that I will inflict pain on myself. I will self-suffer. And it's a very interesting strategy that way. And in that regard, Gandhi was extremely smart. I will tell you that he was a very good strategist. Imagine the level of frustration which a person would get if every time you ask for something and that person goes for a fast. So imagine that you are that person, you have to deal with Gandhi. He says that I want this and you say you will not get it. And he says that I will then inflict pain on myself. I will literally kill myself if you don't do it. And as soon as he came to India, he showcased all of these different methodologies which became inbuilt into his Satyagraha methodology. But basically, there are two major influences on Gandhi even before he's studied anything or gone anywhere. So the first is that he comes from a mercantile community which was extremely resistant about their rights. So there's a spirit of resistance which he has. Thereafter, he has a major influence of his mother, Putli Bai, who actually pushes this concept that it is good to self-suffer because it purifies yourself. And he picks up the concept of fast in regards to that. But it is actually not in India where he actually picks up his understanding. It is actually in London. So we are clear with regards to Putli Bai and the mercantile community Gujarat. Any issues till this point? Okay. Now, once he completes his studies in India itself, thereafter, he chooses to go to London in 1888. In 1888, yes, Putli Bai is the mother of Gandhi. We'll talk about why would the British care about his self-suffering, why would this and that, we will discuss that. Spirit of resistance means that they are ready to fight for their rights. So 1869 he's born, gets influenced by the Putlibai and generally his mercantile community. Thereafter, in 1888, he chooses to go to London. It was a very standard thing at this point of time to go to London and study law and become a barrister, become a lawyer in that regard. But he faced a lot of resistance from his community. Though his community is a mercantile community, the concept was that his relatives and generally his family was not ready to send him to London because of the concept of purity, that you will lose your caste, you will lose your that, which is a paradox within that community itself, wherein merchants always travel, but it was about mercantilism within Gujarat itself, not overseas. So in a way, Gandhi was doing something which was not permitted within his community, which is to travel the seas. And in 1888, after technically fighting with his family, again that spirit of resistance, his family had actually even ditched him. They said that if you will board that ship, then you will lose your caste, you will lose your community, then there's nothing for you in India. So when he actually left for London, he was ostracized, he was criticized, and he had nothing to come back to in a way. In a way, he had nothing to come back to because of the fact that his community itself had disowned him. So now he will reach London. And Gandhi will, for the first time, because he was already in a princely state, for the first time encounter the British. Not properly first time, but in the proper sense, he will come close quarters to the British, but now as a student of law. Now, very simply, between 1888 and 1891, this is the period in which he was in London, Gandhi gets a very distorted understanding of colonialism. Because his vision of colonialism, his vision of British power is extremely rosy. It's extremely romanticized. It's very, very distorted. Why? Because he is in the capital of the mother country. So in London, racism was a little bit down. He got to read a lot of different books. He did not see the brutality of the British, that the British were beating, how they were beating Indians. Gandhi saw colonialism, but he saw it through a lens which was very distorted because he never saw the real picture. He never saw the real picture. In a way, Gandhi till 1891 itself had never ever seen colonialism in its true picture, which is deindustrialization, commercialization, forced commercialization, indigo farming, the concept of how the peasants were destroyed, 1857, the violence, everything. He had not seen it. So Gandhi, in the mind of Gandhi, the British are a just community. They believe in justice. They believe in justice. They believe in human rights. They believe in the concept of rule of law. Do we actually have these things in India? Justice, human right, rule of law? No. So when he is in India, he's in a princely state where the British control is in a way indirect. When he is in London, he sees a totally different picture, which is this just rule of law, Magna Carta, debates are happening, Britishers are perfect. They believe in the concept that we will change the world. The white man's burden, he has seen from the picture of the white man itself. So what I mean to say is that when Gandhi leaves London, he has not seen proper discrimination. He's not seen proper what we call as racism. He's not seen the concept of what we call as the violence of every day. But in London, he now gets influenced by 2-3 very important writers who he read. It is in this period that he actually reads 3 very important people: Tolstoy, Ruskin, and Thoreau. Not Ruskin Bond, but Ruskin. So you have Tolstoy, Ruskin, and Thoreau. And out of them, the books which he reads about Tolstoy, Ruskin, and Thoreau, he picks up new concepts. He picks up new concepts. For example, the concept of spirituality, the concept of morality and simplicity. But the most important thing which he picked up was from Thoreau, which is the concept of resistance through disobedience. Resistance through disobedience, which we call a civil disobedience. But this concept of disobedience, this concept of that I need to get connected to God, I need to have a very simple moral life, the concept of non-violence, all of this comes from the readings which he's doing. So spirituality means that you need to get connected to God. I'll tell you how he uses it. But here, the concept of community coming together, the concept of resistance to disobedience, morality, simplicity, these things he will pick up from his formative influences, which are going to be in London and in India. Now, what I'm trying to argue here is that there is till 1891, since he had been born, two phases of influences. One which is the way he picked up from his community a spirit of resistance, and he picks up from his mother the concept of fasting. And in London, he picks up the concept of spirituality. He picks up the concept of morality. He picks up the concept of non-violence. He picks up the concept of disobedience. He has a certain context in which he developed generally. Tolstoy form we will discuss later. So the discussion till this point is to argue how did Gandhi become Gandhi, or what are the influences of Gandhi in the initial phase. So are we clear with regards to how the London phase and the Rajkot phase have a certain amount of influence on Gandhi generally? So from his community he picks up something, from mother he picks up something, in London he picks up something. But the conclusion which we all can be very, very clear of is that Gandhi has not seen colonialism in true form. He has a false sense of belief in the British equality, justice, and rule of law. We can agree to this slide. Come on, if we do, we'll just cover the formative influences, and I need to talk about how he reaches South Africa. Why is South Africa so important? Yes, come on. Clear? Very good. So you have 1869, 2nd October, born in the Kathiawar district, Porbandar in Gujarat. In 1876, he will start his education in Rajkot. He will be married to Kasturba Gandhi in 1883 itself, very young age. Thereafter, he will leave on 4th September 1888 for London. And thereafter, by 1893, he was sailing towards South Africa. We'll discuss that when we'll reach about that. Who is this, sir? This is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi. This is the suit boot ka Gandhi. This is what he gives up before he comes to India. So this look was never going to go in India. So this is M.K. Gandhi. Yeah, not able to recognize him, but this is Gandhi. So this basic concept. Thereafter, formative influences on Gandhi are based on the way he goes through his life. So he has a trait of resistance and protest from the mercantile community which he comes from. Fasting and self-suffering is something which he picked up from Putli Bhai. Then he stood for himself, convinced his community elders to go to London, but he still saw a lot of resistance. He was not asked to come back to India itself. Thereafter, Tolstoy in the kingdom of in his book said a very important line: the kingdom of God is within you. So he, through Tolstoy, he picks up the concept of morality, truth and simplicity. Thereafter, John Ruskin, on to the last is the book name. In this, he will pick up the concept of simple, self-sufficient community living, which he will then apply to ashrams. So the concept of ashrams come from Ruskin. Then from Ralph Waldo Emerson, he will take up the concept of individualism, that the individual is important. And last but not the least, the most important influence on him, Henry David Thoreau, which is resistance to disobedience. You don't have to learn this, but I am trying to construct Gandhi in front of you, bit by bit, how he became what he became. So, very simply, I hope that Gandhi's formative influence and his distorted vision of colonialism is clear. If it is, then we move forward. Everybody's consent is needed here. Not a difficult section. It's an interesting section. Now we will go into the real discussion with regards to what is Gandhi, who is Gandhi, what made Gandhi Gandhi. Okay, perfect. Now, the disobedience means to not listen to somebody or to defy somebody. We'll talk about that. Now, he's completed his degree in 1891. He's completed his degree in 1891. Now, everybody wants a job. So Gandhi had two options. He could have come back to India, or he could have sought certain employment either in London or somewhere else. The simple point is that going back to India was not an option, because if he does go back, he has to then see all that resistance from his community, then again all of what we call as the explanations he has to give. Generally, he was not inclined to come back to India. So as of 1891, he was not inclined to come back to India because his community had already created a ruckus. It's like when you study alone and you don't want to go back to home because of the relatives in that regard. The same way, in 1891, he did not want to go back to India because of all the chaos and whatever was the concept of his community saying, why did you go? What did you get? What was the point of the degree? We also get these questions when you go out and study and get a degree from somewhere you were staying alone. What was the point of the degree? Were you not able to do this degree in India? Standards things. So he actually did not want to go back to India generally. And he became lucky that way because there was a Gujarati merchant, Dada Abdullah. He comes from the same sector, Gujarati merchant. He comes from the same sector, the Gujarat Rajkot sector, and he knew that Gandhi was studying within London itself, and because there is connection between communities, he was cognizant of the fact that there's somebody called Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi who is basically studying law. And the problem is that Dada Abdullah, very simply, had a lot of legal issues which he was facing in South Africa. And I'll tell you, the problem with South Africa is that the nature of South African Indian community is that most of the Indians there were illiterate. So now Dada Abdullah is going to approach Gandhi after he completes his studies, that I would like you to travel to South Africa so as to represent me. It's a 2-3 month job. You can leave when you are completed the basic litigation with the British. So simple point is, he will be approached in 1891, but it is actually in 1893 that he will finally travel to South Africa. Now let's try to analyze what does the Indian community generally do in South Africa. Now, when we talk about, so we understand that it is his first employment. Everybody is excited about their first employment. He was ready to go to a new country itself. People do a lot of things for their employment, and therefore he was ready to travel to South Africa. Dada Abdullah was ready to generously pay him also. He was like, you come to South Africa, I will give you all tickets and everything. You don't have to do anything. Come and you have to just represent me in the legal courts of South Africa generally. Now, what is common between South Africa and India is that both are what are called British colonies. British colonies, and in that regard, South Africa has 2-3 other issues which India does not have in a major sense. So everybody follows Dada Abdullah, Gujarati merchant, approaches Gandhi, asks him to come to South Africa. No issues till this point? Okay. So some of you asked me in the beginning why he's in South Africa. Now we know why he's in South Africa. Now, South Africa is a very interesting case. South Africa, there is what is called a very sizable population of whites. These are the British, the Dutch, etc. So a very sizable population of South Africa. South Africa has a lot of diamond trade at this point of time. The Cape of Good Hope itself comes in South Africa itself. All trade which is going towards India and China has to cross the Cape of Good Hope. It's a good colony because it's not that hot as, for example, sub-Saharan Africa. It's tropical environment, but very cool that ways. So everybody, whites, Gore loved South Africa quite a lot. However, if it is South Africa, there will always also be a black population. Black population means the African population. So there is both black and white, wherein you have the colonialists or the superior and the power holders. I'll say so-called superior and power holders vis-a-vis the whites. And then you have the black population, which generally is reeling under either slavery. So either they are going into the slavery in which they are taken to parts of America, to Caribbean island, but slavery by the time we are talking is more or less over. Now, so slavery, the angle does not come in because slavery was not prevalent generally too much in South Africa. It was the west and the east coast, rather the western coast of Africa more. But Africa, this population is discriminated against, and proper colonialism is applied on them. The concept of segregation of space, wherein blacks and dogs are not allowed in this carriage. There's a proper segregation of space, wherein that if there is something, it will be divided into white and black. Though it is later called apartheid, we don't call it apartheid at this point of time. But if you understand apartheid, you automatically understand it, that it is basically the concept of segregation of spaces. Now, in all of this, we have our brown men and women, Indians, as called by the British, the brown man. Now, Indians have a very precarious situation in South Africa because they are not going there either as colonialists or they're going there for studies. They're going as what is called indentured labor. As indentured labor. Now we are called brown because we are not white and we are not black. According to the British eye, we come in between. Now, Mostly the Indians in South Africa are what are called indentured labor. Now, what do you mean by indentured labor? Indentured labor is basically the concept of what is called bonded temporary bonded labor. So what does this mean? See, I have to travel from India and go till South Africa. Now this distance, it needs 300 pounds to reach between India and South Africa. So as an Indian, would I be able to afford this travel between India and South Africa? 300 pounds it takes? No. So what happens is that South Africans need labor and we want employment. So the concept is that you will get what are called contractors who will pay for your journey, but once you reach, need to pay off the debt or journey cost. So in a way, it is like temporary slaves or temporary bonded labor. That, for example, mostly for 5 years, you work for free for the person, and once you've paid off your 300 pounds, then you become free labor. So it's basically contractual bondage, wherein you take a debt for $300, 300 pounds, and when you reach South Africa, you will meet the contractor. The contractor will say, okay, I paid for your travel. Now you work for me for free for 5 years, and I will basically give you a certain amount of salary, which I will not credit to you, but rather I'll cut it out of the 300 pounds. So if you get, for example, $1 a month, it will take you 300 months to pay that debt. And therefore, it used to take a lot of time to pay off that debt, because they used to be given salaries which they were not given to them. Food and all was given to them, but proper money was not there. That is why it's called temporary bonded labor. So you are bonded for 5 years and then you become free. So the basic point is, in South Africa, there are two types of Indians. One are called free labor, and the other one are indentured labor. They have already worked for 5 to 10 years, paid off their debt, and they are the ones who are in the process of paying off their debt. What is the advantage? You leave India. You don't want to be in India. The advantage is that you will, after 5 years at least, come out of the misery which you were in India. See, it's a very simple concept. I am a landless labor in India. I have nothing. So now a contractor says that I am happy to send you to South Africa, where at least after 5 years you will have the chance to become free labor and you can work wherever you want to. So if I have nothing to eat and I have nothing in India, why would not I accept this deal? I'll accept it because in India itself I am landless. I am not going to get anything. So South Africa, they need cheap labor. This is cheap labor for them, wherein for 5 years they don't have to pay a wage only. As it is, they would have to pay for the travel of someone. So they are paying for the travel of these men and women so that they can travel to India, travel from India to South Africa. Indentured, therefore, is a win-win situation for both. The contractor gets a labor who he can use for 5 years for free. An Indian can then go to South Africa, work for 5 years, and thereafter he will become free labor and he can become part of any organization or any employer he wants. This concept is still used. this concept is still used in which sector today? Tell me. In which area this is still used? You watch the World Cup, Qatar and all, in Gulf countries, still this concept is used. It's called kafala, but it's basically Middle East still used, wherein people are ready to go to the the Saudi Arabian sector. For example, in Qatar, in Bahrain, they will take you, and thereafter they will keep your passport for 5 years. Construction work you will do. Thereafter, they will give it back to you. They will provide you food and shelter. The UAE, Saudi Arabia, quite a lot used. Not in the construction sector in India, but in the construction sector abroad. Now, one of you asked me, why is it called indentured labor? Why is it called indentured labor? Can anybody tell me why indentured labor? The word indentured. The word indentured, why? Not debt, not bonded, temporary, no. The word actually comes from the contract. No, see, this is a piece of paper. It's a piece of paper. So what used to happen was that they used to write on the, it had two spaces. It used to say that I, Abhishek Mishra, go into an indentured contract with this person, and used to again say I, Abhishek Mishra, go into an indentured concept with someone. Now, what they used to do was that they used to take this contract and they used to then tear it like this. And the one would be taken by the contractor to South Africa, and one was given to you. Now, when you travel with this contract in your hand, and when you reach South Africa, that person is going to now match the indentures. What you see here is called indentures. Yes, paper indentures. So basically, if the paper used to fully meet together, it was called, the contract is legal, it is right, and therefore the term comes from the way they used to give the contract. Indentured labor. The indentures of the paper is what the word indenture is used for. So it's indentured labor because of the way the contract was done. It's like a receipt which is teared into two halves. Once it is matched in South Africa, it is considered that the same person has come to South Africa generally, right? So for 4 to 5 years, food and shelter is given. However, no wage is given. Are we clear with regards to what is the concept of indentured? What are the Indians generally doing in South Africa? Yes, there are two types of Indians. One are called free Indians. They have paid off their debt after 5 to 10 years of work. And then there are other who are called the indentured labor. They are in the process of paying off their debt. Are we clear what Gandhi lands into? Yes, everybody, come on. Are the free labor getting wages? Yes. They would be getting employed with somebody. They will get standard wages. Okay. Now, Gandhi has reached South Africa. South Africa in that regard is problematic because Indians are also discriminated against, and generally Indians are also discriminated against. Because the color of the skin mattered, Indians discriminated. Indians don't even come in the proper categories of white and black, so they're discriminated more. British did not give any heed to the Indian community generally. Sizable population of Indians are there, but nobody cares generally. So South Africa, in a way, is much, much, much worse in certain terms when it comes to racial discrimination and generally segregation. So now he travels to South Africa, lands in South Africa in 1893. And now the drama will start. And I now tell you the South African experience so that we can thereafter understand why is Gandhi Gandhi and what is the concept of moderate. Clear, everybody? Everybody is with me till this point. You're understanding where we are following Gandhi through his journey into the unknown, which is South Africa. Yes? Great. Okay. Gandhi was not an indebted labor. He's not an indentured labor. Gandhi is rather a barrister who's gone there. So don't say that he's an indentured labor. Okay. So now our suited Gandhi has reached South Africa. And 1893, as soon as he will reach, now he will see the real, what we call as colonialism. Colonialism will now hit him so bad that all his equality and justice will come out. Wherein Gandhi, traveling in a suit, smart, has a first class ticket in his hand. He had to go from what is called Pietermaritzburg to Pretoria, which is the capital generally. And very simply, the voyage between 1891 to 93, the ship will take at least close to 3 to 4 months. He comes back, he takes his time to leave London itself. Does not matter to me what he's doing between 91 and 93, but he will land in South Africa in 93. So when he land in South Africa in 93, first moment itself, he comes down Pretoria. As soon as he comes down and takes the train, now he will see what discrimination and colonialism actually means. So he takes his first class ticket. If somebody else is paying for your ticket, why not first class itself? And he will take that first class ticket and board the train. And as soon as he boards the train itself, once the train starts from the what we call as Durban to the Pittsburgh Pretoria sector, the train started from the Durban sector to, these are two very important cities, Durban and Pretoria. They will start to move, and the whites will start to notice that a brown man is sitting in suit inside the first class. And outside the first class itself said very, very clearly, blacks, dogs, Indians not allowed. But Gandhi, being Gandhi, thought that it was a joke, and very simply, he boarded the train on the first class. Now, as soon as the whites will start to notice, the Europeans are going to start to notice that there's an Indian sitting in the first class, they will tell the ticket collector, the TT, that there's a brown man sitting, he's violating the rules, and Gandhi will be thrown off. Gandhi will be thrown off the train at Pietermaritzburg. So he'll be literally picked up and thrown off the first class, and they will say that go to the third class. That is where you need to be, because that is the class for you. Now Gandhi will start to use his law, like lawyers do. He starts to say that this is incorrect. This is against the sense of justice. I have human rights. I have bought this ticket legitimately. I cannot and I will not accept to go to the third class itself. So all that England was coming out from him, but nobody was obviously going to listen to him. So he will say that I have rights. I need justice. Where is British rule of law? British has said that I am not going to wait for this train to start because of you, and the train will leave. Now Gandhi will go and stage a protest with the station manager. And station manager, he will say that I am an Indian, I am a barrister. How can you deny me? I have bought this ticket legitimately. You cannot do this to me. When is the next train? He said tomorrow. So he said, I will board the train in first class again. So in the night, he will try to go and find certain hotels. Every hotel, as soon as he reached, was full, because obviously a good hotel will never allow a brown man to stay in it. So Gandhi will then spend the night at the railway station itself, and next day he will again board the train. He will again go and sit in the first class. But this time he will not be thrown off, but literally be beaten by the white man. They will say that this person has lost his mind. Literally, the Europeans, the white men will beat Gandhi and then again throw him off the train. But he will again say that I will not go in the third class. That is not my designated space. And after a compromise, he went into what is called the driver's coach. He did not go to the third class. He said, that is not my space. I'm not an indentured. I'm a barrister. I have come from India. I've come from England, and I need my space. So later he will go in the driver's coach, basically the coach which is there for the driver of the train. Still, the whites will not allow him to travel in the first class itself. Now, within few hours of being in the South African sector, Gandhi can see what real colonialism is. Real colonialism is not about human rights. Real colonialism is not about the concept of this justice, equality. This is not real colonialism. Real colonialism is violence. Real colonialism is technically segregation. Real colonialism is discrimination, racism. Real colonialism does not talk about justice. So Gandhi will therefore see colonialism within few hours of coming to South Africa itself. And it is considered that this experience for Gandhi was very, very important, because this will make him realize what actually South Africa or colonialism is, because he had a very distorted vision of colonialism throughout his life. So till 1893 itself, he has no understanding of what colonialism actually looks like. And now he has seen that. Though you can see that Gandhi is still fighting, his spirit of resistance is there. He did not at the end of the day go to the third class. He still sat in a different coach other than the first class, but he did not go to the place where he was designated to. Now he will reach Dada Abdullah, and Dada Abdullah was basically based from a place called Natal. Natal is a place, and there are two places together, two provinces. One is called Natal and the other one is called Transvaal. Natal and Transvaal are two basic districts, if you want to say, or two basic provinces in South Africa. And he will basically operate from the Natal sector. So Natal is a place, remember that. Dada Abdullah is the merchant who had called Gandhi. And therefore, now Gandhi is going to go and represent Dada Abdullah. Gandhi was actually one of the only person at that point of time in the Indian community which actually could read and write. So he was the only literate Indian at this point of time. Yes, Natal and Transvaal both in South Africa. I'm talking of South Africa only. Now these two places basically are the epicenter of where Gandhi is going to do what he is going to do. Now, very simply, he's now met Abdullah. He's now represented him. He's won the case also. So, very simply, Gandhi believes that his work was not done. Because he could see the plight of the Indians, because the Indians were discriminated left, right, and center with no real representation. So if his sense of justice comes through, though he won the case and he had only promised to stay for 3 to 4 months, Gandhi will only leave South Africa in 1915. But then what did Gandhi do generally for the Indians in South Africa? And therein comes the concept of moderate and Satyagraha phase. Now, before I go into moderate or Satyagraha phase, are we following the basic story till this point? We are? Okay. Now, Gandhi has an innocence. And that innocence is basically represented in the period between 1896 and 1906. This innocence is called his moderate phase. And like the moderates in India, he had a very strong conviction in the fact that the British are not unjust. It's just that the British don't know what they're doing. So the moderates, or the moderate phase of Gandhi, is that Gandhi, between this period of 1896 to 1906, this 10 years, he believed that if I told the British authorities the plight of the people or the plight of the Indians in South Africa, then maybe they will actually do something. So the concept of prayer, petition, and protest, the PPP, was something which Gandhi also embodied. As I told you, everybody goes from a moderate phase to an extremist phase, or what we call as moderate phase for sure. So moderate word is used for his way of approaching the British, which is again petitioning. And Gandhi again had a concept that the British do not know. Let me tell them what is the condition of Indians in South Africa, and they will act for sure. They will act for sure. He will also start a paper. He will rather buy a paper called the Indian Opinion. Through this paper, he will start to write different articles in which he will tell how the Indian community is discriminated against. He will have what is called the Natal Congress. He will establish, where he will try to bring all the Indians together so that they can come together and tell to the British that we are discriminated against. But technically, where would the moderate method take him? Nowhere, because British are very conscious of what they are doing. So nobody needs to tell them that they are a looter or they are thugs or they are a chore. They know that they are doing it themselves. So very simply, the simple point of the matter is that Gandhi still has that innocence, that sense of justice within him. That no, if I tell them, they will respond for sure. If I tell them that Indians are under stress, they will respond for sure. So moderate phase of Gandhi in South Africa is important for India, because somehow the moderate phase he went through in South Africa only. Because even before landing in India, at least after landing in India, he did not act like a moderate. He had already given up on the moderate mentality, on the moderate methodology itself. This is a very important point you need to understand generally, because a lot of students don't understand the importance. I'll give you a mains question out of this area. And not everybody understands why South African experience of Gandhi is so important. The South African experience of Gandhi is so important because it is in this period that he went through his basic methodology of going from moderate to satyagrah. Because if he had come to India and then started to do moderate phase, then independence would have been delayed, or maybe he would not have become what he became when he came to India. So very simply, the problem is that he's again working in the same period. The INC is also moderate dominated. He is also working with that same concept that moderate mentality should be there, prayer petitioning should be there. However, in 1906, he is going to abandon it when he will see that it is actually not working. And there was one moment in which he actually asked the Indian National Congress in India to take up an issue of South Africa, which Gopal Krishna Gokhale did. Gopal Krishna Gokhale was the political guru of Gandhi. Everything before his death in 1916, he told Gandhi what to do generally. But Gopal Krishna Gokhale took up the INC, in the INC issue, the discrimination of South African Indians. But the point is, all of this is futile. So this prayer, petition, this telling the British, Indian Opinion, Natal Congress means people coming together. It's all futile. And this is why it is so significant that Gandhi had to and needed to go through this motion. Everybody has to go through this phase. And fortunately for India, Gandhi went through this phase in South Africa only. So I have understanding why it is called the moderate phase, and why is it so significant for Indian history that he goes through this basic motions of what we call as moderate mentality. This innocence is removed from Gandhi even before he reaches India. Yes, are we clear with regards to this? Because then I'll read it out of the PPT generally. Yes, great. Okay, perfect. So Gandhi's South African experience is significant because South Africa, discrimination of Indians at all level, superior feeling among the whites is already there. White, black, brown politics is quite a lot. Now, what would have happened? Nobody knows, but that is what happened. Now, in June of 1893, he'll be thrown off the what is called the Pietermaritzburg station by the train itself. By 1894, he had created the Natal Indian Congress to fight color prejudice. By 1901, he had even asked the Calcutta session of the INC to take up a resolution against the South African discrimination. By 1903, he had established his second important body in South Africa called the Transvaal British. This is not a real picture, but this is a real picture. Founded the Transvaal British India Association. Obviously, nobody was waiting with a camera to click when Gandhi will be thrown off. The two associations by this point of time had become extremely important. Natal Indian Congress and the Transvaal British India Association. What is a catch in this word Transvaal British India Association, which tells you that Gandhi is in a moderate phase? Come on, tell me. Yes, very good. It's the word British. This word itself gives you the understanding that Gandhi still believes in the British. So he founded the Transvaal British India Association. He did not introduce Transvaal India Association. No. Transvaal British India Association. And these two bodies are going to be important. Thereafter, he will also acquire the Indian Opinion newspaper so as to tell the people about how Indians are getting discriminated against. Then in October, November, December 1904, he will also establish a small settlement in Phoenix. Phoenix is again a place in South Africa. It's called the Phoenix Settlement of Indians Together. But it is here that the change happens, which is by September of 1906, which I have to discuss with you. And by 1909, he wrote a very important text, what is called the Hind Swaraj, when he was traveling between South Africa from London, when he had in between had to go to London for some work. So therefore, by 1906, Gandhi had given up on his moderate mentality. All of this is in South Africa, nothing in India. So why is the moderate phase of Gandhi so important? Gandhi's political activities from 1894, but we basically take it from 1896. 1894-96 to 1906 may be classified as the moderate phase of struggle for South African Indians. During this phase, he concentrated on petitioning, sending memorials to South African legislature, colonial secretary in London, British Parliament. And this is the innocence of Gandhi which needed to be removed. He believed that if all the facts of the cases were presented to the imperial government, the British sense of justice and fair play would be aroused, and the imperial government would intervene on the behalf of Indians, who were, after all, British subjects. His attempt was to unite the different sections of Indians and give their demands widely through publicity. This he tried through the Natal Congress, the Indian Opinion, the Transvaal British India Association. But by 1906, Gandhi had given up on his moderate mentality, had given up on his moderate methodology. And now he was going to move to a new method, but that will be triggered because of certain acts which will be passed in South Africa, which I'm going to discuss with you when I'm back from the break. So everybody is with me till this point. Everybody is comfortable with the discussion. Nobody has no issues. Now we will go into a certain discussion which is extremely important. There are 4 acts which are going to trigger Gandhi. But before that, I have to discuss with you what is Satyagraha, what is the concept of Satyagraha itself, and then we'll see how he uses it against the 4, what is called Registration Act, the Immigration Act, the Poll Act, and the Marriage Act, all passed in South Africa. Yes? How Gandhi's moderate phase impacted Indian independence. Gandhi, before reaching to India, had already gone through his moderate phase. Therefore, in India, he knew what he needed to do. I will discuss that with you. He did not need to petition in India because India petitioning was already being done. Okay. I'm giving you a break not so early, because if I don't give you a break here, I'll give it to you at 8:10, which makes no sense. I need to break here because with moderate mentality over, Satyagraha I need to discuss in one whole set itself. So it is 7:20. We'll come back at 7:30 and then we'll take Gandhi forward. Right? No issues? Great. Perfect. Welcome back. Now, till this point, we've understood 3-4 standard things. We've understood Gandhi's formative influences. We've understood he not understanding what is colonialism. We've also understood how the South African first hour of experience itself is totally different. Between 1894-96, this 1906 period, 10-year period, very, very significant because it is the period of his moderate politics. Moderate politics. This is the moderate phase of Gandhi. Now, as I said, the moderate phase of Gandhi or moderate politics of Gandhi is very, very important because it allows him to land in India with a method which worked. And I will show you how he had actually shown to the world that his method actually worked. Now, what is that method? That method is called Satyagraha or Satyagraha. Satyagraha, no, Aarti, don't have to remember the story. Just have to understand these concepts. Now, Satyagraha means Satya ka agrah or the fight for truth. The fight for truth. But this methodology was developed by Gandhi after 1906 and used at different junctures. So rather than going through the junctures and then telling you the method itself, let's try to understand the method first. So now we are assessing what is Satyagraha, what is the concept of Satyagraha methodology vis-a-vis protest. So there are certain tenets within Satyagraha which together make it what we call as Satyagraha generally. There is something called non-violence. There's something called passive resistance, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, and the concept of self-suffering. Now, what do I mean by these words? The simple point is that Satyagraha is a methodology of resistance which is called passive resistance. See, what the extremists, the revolutionaries were doing is called active resistance, which is that you confront. Active resistance would mean confrontation. Rather, passive resistance. Now, please pay attention. You need to understand this method. Passive resistance is not based on confrontation, but is rather based on resisting by not engaging. Passive resistance, passive violence, there's no word, something called passive violence. There's no word like that. Passive resistance, very simply, is engagement with no engagement, in the sense that you resist that person by ignoring that person, or you resist that person by non-confrontation. The difference between active and passive is very, very important, because active would be that somebody provokes me and I go and beat that person up. That is called passive resistance. Or rather, that is called active resistance. On the other hand, somebody says something to me, my best strategy is not to say anything to that person and ignore him. So you resist by non-confrontation or by non-conformity, but simply understand this, that there is a matter of resistance here. It's not like moderates, that it's all about prayer and petition. No, it's about resisting, but not by directly confronting the person, but by actually indirectly or masking your response. Non-response is a very important concept. So if you come and you shout at me, the easiest way of countering you is that I will shout back. That is called active resistance. But what Gandhi would say is that passive resistance. If you are being shouted at, silence. That will frustrate the person more, and therefore it will even create even more anger in that person, and that will be the moment in which that person can do a mistake. So it is about resisting the urge to actively resist, but to passively do it. So I am going to do it in subtle ways. I'm going to do it at my own level. I'm not going to confront you generally. And that is why a very important tenet of passive resistance is non-violence. Wherein if I become violent, then I defeat the purpose. Wherein if the British do violence and I also do violence, then there's no difference between you and me, or the British or the Indians. Therefore, non-violence was a strategy which at one level was more geared towards how the British used to rule. The only way to remove the British was through non-violence. Why? Because if we did violence, 1857 was a testimony of how there was violence at a different scale altogether. So therefore, active confrontation is something which the revolutionaries are doing. So you take the activeness of their confrontation, but you make it into passivity, wherein you resist by non-engagement. You resist by not responding. You resist by ignoring, but you resist for sure. So the point of non-violence is very strategic for Gandhi, because violence could never get independence anywhere. Because we could do violence, then the British would do multiple times more that violence. A bullet would be answered by lakhs of bullets. So therefore, Gandhian method should be not seen as no response. It is about response, but in a very strategic way, which is non-engagement. And I'll actually give you a very simple example. We all are, at the end of the day, descendants of Gandhi. We all do passive resistance every day. We all know Gandhian methods by heart. You do it, but you don't know it. I'll give you a very simple example. You are watching TV. Now you will watch TV, for example. You'll watch OTT platform. You're watching something. And your parents say that, your mother says, go and get some water for me. What are you going to do? You are going to act like you're deaf. Sunai nahi? I didn't listen only. You said something, okay, you wanted water. This is called passive resistance. You are resisting, but not by saying, no, I will not get water to you, go and get it. No, you didn't say that. You resisted by not doing only anything. You were like, I don't know only, what did you say? So passive resistance is something which we all do. For example, you've done it in your colleges also. The teacher says that the assignment needs to be submitted on, for example, 20th. You will never give it on 20th only. You will give it on 25th. But you will not say anything to the teacher. Okay, you want it on 20th. I will give it to you on 25th only. So you will go silently give that to the teacher. This is my passive resistance. We said Give it, we will give it on 25th. You said you want it on 20th. Everybody will give it on 20th. No, everybody will give it on 25th. A very important concept of passive resistance is passive resistance needs to be done together. Because if you multiple people don't do it, then you will be caught. You will be caught. So, for example, I say I'll take a test tomorrow. Nobody wants to take a test. Mass bunk. Mass bunk. Everybody is not going to come. But as I said, Satyagrah only works if it is done at the right time with everybody doing it. If one person comes to that room, then your passive resistance is useless, because then the examination was taken. So passive resistance, I'm giving you very generic examples, and I'll go into what is called non-cooperation and civil disobedience. Passive resistance is a very beautiful concept, wherein you will do what you want to do, but you don't engage with the aggressor. You use a non-violent strategy so that he cannot respond. It's about frustrating the person in front. But remember, both will only work if it is done at the right time, and it has to be done collectively. If it is done not with everybody, it has to be mass. If it is not then done collectively, then you are in trouble. So you can't just every time act like you're deaf, then you're going to get a slap. You have to do it at the right moment itself. For example, last over of the match, you start to act like you're a deaf. If you do it every time, then everybody will catch up onto it. And second is, you have to do it collectively. Mass bunk only works if everybody does it. If not, one person, even if he technically defies it, then the purpose is defeated. So do we understand this concept, generic concept of why non-violence? Because that was never the answer against the British. And second, why passive resistance? Because passive resistance is a new brand which he develops vis-a-vis that. Now let's talk about the two methods within the passive resistance concept. First is called non-cooperation, and second is called civil disobedience. And the second is called civil disobedience. Can I discuss this? Everybody is following me. You need to understand Gandhian methodology, because this is what changes Indian nationalism quite a lot. Right? Okay, very good. So now what is non-cooperation? Basically, non-cooperation and civil disobedience are connected. This is always considered the first stage, and this is the second stage. Once you have non-cooperation done well, then you go for civil disobedience. Now, I'll give you a very simple example of non-cooperation. In the name itself, it is non-cooperation. Now you want to go to, for example, a trip, Goa, you want to go, but your parents are not going to allow you to do that, right? So non-cooperation is what you start to follow first, which is your mother will say, give me the remote, not cooperating itself. Get some water, not cooperating itself. Close the door, not cooperating itself. You will act like you don't exist in the house itself. Very simply, non-cooperation. I will not cooperate with you only. I will not cooperate with you only. It's not I am defying your authority. I'm not breaking any laws. I am just not going to cooperate with you. Very simply. I'll give you a very simple example of this again. You would have seen in India, people, there's a rule that you need to wear a helmet, right? But people are so non-cooperating, they will wear a helmet in their hand, but not on their head, and then drive a bike. Have you seen that? That is the best example of non-cooperation. I have a helmet, but I will not wear it. I have a helmet, I will not even keep it on my head, I will put it into my hands. So they will drive like this with a helmet here. That is called non-cooperation. Non-cooperation is I have the ability to do that thing, but I'll not cooperate with you only. Right? So very simply, if the policeman comes, I will wear it like this. I'm not breaking a law. But Just because my hairstyle is going to, I put in a lot of gel in my hair, I will make sure that is either on the side mirror or in my hands. I will not wear it on my head. This is called non-cooperation. Now, one step further is civil disobedience. Civil disobedience is breaking laws which are not major, but to show your resistance. Again, I'll give you the example, for example, of the house. Now you did non-cooperation. Your parents are still not letting you go to Goa. So you did whatever you wanted to do. You did not listen to them. You did not give heed to what they said. You did not cooperate. Now you will do civil disobedience to show that you are angry. How? Father will say, come back at 8 p.m. You will come back at 8:15. You will not come back at 10. You come at 8:15 just to show that I defied your authority. Small law, but significant enough to show that I am trying to resist. That I am trying to resist. Wherein, very simply, small instances. Please throw the apple once eaten into dustbin. No, you will not do it. You'll go and keep it on the sink itself. You've gone till the dustbin, but you will not throw it. This is called civil disobedience. Civil disobedience means I am not going and slapping my father. That is not what I'm trying to do here. That is no violence, no disobedience that way. I am doing civil disobedience. Laws which are not that significant, but are enough to show that you don't want to be part of it. You don't want to be a part of it. That I don't want it. That keeping that helmet on the side mirror is also civil disobedience. That it's not a crime which I'm doing. I'm not murdering a person, but I will not wear that helmet only. So I'm non-cooperating also and civil disobedience also. This is two things. For example, it says no smoking and you smoke that place. Civil disobedience. Small law, but you are breaking it. Remember, civil disobedience only comes after non-cooperation. And the timing of this also needs to be very, very correct. If you do too much non-cooperation, if you do too much civil disobedience, then there's a problem. What is the difference between the two? Try to understand this. In non-cooperation, you don't defy laws. You don't break laws. But in civil disobedience, you break laws. So Gandhi, where did he do civil disobedience? Where did he do civil disobedience? He did it under SALT law. He did not go and break, for example, Rowlatt Act. No. He did SALT law. Small law, broke it. But in non-cooperation movement, it was not about breaking laws. It was about boycotting the British itself. So please understand this, that non-cooperation is the point till which you are not going to defy the authority. But civil disobedience is when you defy the authority itself. So remember, the scale matters, the timing matters, and it has to be done collectively in that regards. So very simply, you can't say Swadeshi movement is non-cooperation because that methodology is very specific to Gandhi. So don't mess up the timeline because a lot of students do that. Simply, everybody does. Everybody in India, we all have learnt it by heart. You don't know it, but you have been following a Gandhian methodology for a very long time. Everybody does it in India. Non-cooperation, civil disobedience, everybody does it. Passive resistance is part of our culture itself. Standard thing. So, non-violence, so as to make sure that the British does not do more violence. Passive resistance is the concept of the concept of resisting, but by non-engagement. Within passive resistance, you have two concepts: civil disobedience and non-cooperation. Non-cooperation is first, which is I will not cooperate with you. I will give you a very simple example when I'll show you what we did in Registration Act. Thereafter, civil disobedience is going one step further, break laws, and together this is what is called satyagraha. Passive resistance is the larger concept. Basically, satyagraha is passive resistance only. He used the word passive resistance first and then called it satyagraha. Are we clear with regards to this? Non-violence is no violence. Non-cooperation and passive resistance is not the same thing. Passive resistance, bigger term, non-violence a part of it. Are we clear with regards to these four terminologies? I've been going to use this throughout the next 10 to 15 classes. Come on. Yes. Okay. Now, last but not the least is the concept of self-suffering. That a satyagrahi has to suffer, has to sacrifice. For example, jail bharo. So you have to go to the jail, you have to go and sit in the jail, you have to get detained. There will be hardships, there will be a lot of hardships which are there. You have to go through it. For this, see, for passive resistance, because you can't use violence and you are going to ignore the oppressor, then there will be self-suffering for sure. So this is what he picks up from his mother, that if you don't suffer, then you don't resist. So if you add all of them, this methodology is called satyagraha. Fasting is also related to self-suffering. I will inflict pain on myself. I will inflict pain on myself. We do fasting also. Self-suffering is also part of Indian mentality. Very simple. You will not eat food. You will not drink. You will not come to the table to eat. We all do self-suffering also. Again, part of our way of resisting within our families. Standard policy. So, very simply, self-suffering, civil disobedience, non-cooperation, passive resistance, and non-violence. Together, this is called satyagraha. This is what is the concept of satyagraha, which is I am going to do certain things in a certain way so as to defy authority. Now, if this is clear, I want to discuss the last thing about his methodology, and then we'll move on to the examples or the discussion with regards to South Africa. Yes? But family loves us. Why British respond to self-suffering? Because if a man becomes too important and he dies, everybody will burn you. If Gandhi dies because of a fast, that's a separate issue altogether. We'll discuss that. Remember this, it's not about love. Even in that moment, your parents are not looking at for love. They're doing damage control. How to control the damage? Love will come when they will hit you. The point of the matter is, it is in that moment, they can't let you die. And that way, Gandhi cannot die, because if Gandhi dies because of a fast, which is for a certain reason, that person will be burnt alive. Every Britisher, they would throw petrol and burn. That the British knew. Because when Gandhi lands in India, he's not an ordinary man, which I will discuss with you. Okay. Who was self-suffering? The Satyagrahi, not the oppressor. Okay. We understand these 5 words, yes or no? If we do, then I need to discuss this concept. Thereafter, we will move to the examples. Yes? Okay. Now, the last ideology which is built into Satyagraha is the concept of struggle, truce, struggle. Again, perfected in South Africa. Truce means draw. Truce means draw. Now, what do you mean by struggle, truce, struggle? See, Gandhi knew that every movement has an age and every movement has a peak. So every movement, when it used to reach a peak, see, I am self-suffering, I'm self-suffering, I'm self-suffering, I'm self-suffering. I went to the jail 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, 6 times. But then I will start to fizz off. Then I will start to fizz off, wherein every movement overheats. So very simply, any time there is a struggle, if that struggle is not reaching somewhere, then Gandhi had a policy to take a truce, to take a draw, whatever concession he could get, so that the people can rejuvenate themselves and then again struggle in that regard. This is very core ideology of Gandhi, which is don't take the movement to such a point that the people break itself. So struggle, true struggle is that you take a draw wherever you can take it. And this is the way he actually for the whole national movement is this only. Rowlatt Act, struggle. Rowlatt Satyagraha, struggle. Truce, Jallianwala Bagh. Then non-cooperation movement struggle. Chauri Chaura, truce. Thereafter, CDM struggle was not going anywhere. So Gandhi-Irwin Pact, truce. Thereafter, phase 2, which is called struggle CDM phase 2. Then again, the Government of India Act 1935, truce. Thereafter, there is only one such what we call as movement, which is Quit India, where Gandhi had no control only, wherein they struggles to struggle does not matter. But the whole story hereafter is only this: struggle, truce, struggle, truce, struggle, truce, struggle, truce, struggle, truce. This is a standard thing which is going to happen in our history itself. We'll discuss it as we'll go on, but wherever Gandhi could find a solution, he used to take it. And I'll tell you why he needed to do this also. Because truce means draw. Simple point of the matter is, it's a very significant thing. Except for Quit India, every other movement is based on this concept. CC means Chauri Chaura. I will discuss that with you. Don't go into this. I'll remove before that you start to email me what is RAJB. Very simply, I'm giving you a snapshot. That how struggle to struggle is the story of Indian history itself. So I hope that you understand what does struggles to struggle mean. Whenever there is overheating, whenever there is a threshold where they reach, he takes a truce. Right? Clear, everybody? So we understand, if there is a truce, then whole pressure will release. So as it is, people are not ready to put in pressure. When I add all of it, non-violence, passive resistance, non-cooperation, civil disobedience, self-suffering, struggle through struggle, it technically becomes total satyagraha. Tie, draw, whatever you want to call it. Can I now go to South Africa, and are we clear with regards to this method? Okay, great. So till this point, everybody is making sense. All of this is making sense to you. Now Gandhian methodology makes sense generally. And this is something, if somebody asks you about the larger concept, you will be able to answer it also. Okay, great. So now, just to complete this aspect, yes, Satyagraha. Concept of Satyagraha, non-violence, truthfulness. It's a way of life, a political expression, and a weapon. Like passive resistance of extremists. Basically, active resistance of extremists is made into passive. People should be united. People must be ready to experience hardship. It should be done at proper occasions. Origin is in 1906. He gave a speech at Johannesburg in which he first used the word passive resistance. Later, he changed it to Satyagraha. And as it is, we understood the basic contours of Satyagraha, what they are. Now, I need to discuss with you the concept of how it was used in South Africa. South Africa, 1906 to 1915. Okay, now, South Africa, 1906 to 1915. There are basically 4 acts which were the triggers for the Satyagraha method. One is called Registration Act. The next is called Immigration Act. Thereafter, it is called Poll Tax. And third is called Marriage Act. The way to remember it is very simple. Rest in peace, Mahatma. RIPM. RIPM, registration, immigration, poll, marriage. Given in chronological order also. Okay. So rest in peace, Mahatma. RIPM is the basic way of learning this. Now, what are the basic concepts here? And I'll tell you how Gandhi responded. So Gandhian methodology is going to change, and he will change the orientation of his methodology when the first act in 1906 will be passed, which is called the Registration Act. The Registration Act said that at all times Indians need to carry a document issued by the British with their name and fingerprints after registering with the authorities or police. Think of it that the government of India makes it mandatory to at all times have Aadhaar on you. That at all times anybody can ask for your Aadhaar. That is the basic concept of Registration Act. The British said that you go and register yourself with the police or the authorities. They will give you an ID card which will have your name, where are you from, and it will have your fingerprints. And those fingerprints and your name is going to be your identity. And at all points of time, the Indians need to carry it as a form of identification. Now, Gandhi saw it as a breach of civil liberty and a concept that this was basically to register each and every Indian and defy the concept of freedom of movement. So therefore, he did not like the Registration Act, and in Registration Act for the first time, the method which was used was non-cooperation. Wherein what Gandhi taught people was, you go and register, you keep it with you. But if the authorities ask for registration or ask for the identification document, say you don't have it. Say that I don't have it only. Every Indian is to say I don't have it. So if you don't have it, the police is going to arrest you. They used to take that person to the police station. And as soon as in the police station, they used to say that the charges are against you, that you don't have your registration certificate. So the Indian used to take out the registration certificate and say, see, I have it. Now, will you get annoyed or not? Will you get annoyed or not? As a police officer, you will extremely frustrating it is. So there are thousands of Indians who are picked up every day. They go to the police station, they say, I have it. But when asked on the street, they say, we don't have it. So this is called non-cooperation. It was basically to frustrate the British of its absurdity of how they were applying it. That you say, sir, your registration. Sir, so they will never say, Indian, your registration. They will say, I don't have it. So you say, okay, you are arrested because you don't have a registration certificate. Come with me to the police station. When you go to the police station, they will make you sit down and say, now tell me what is your name. He will say, why don't you check my registration certificate for that? End of story. So he was brought in for the concept which we has. This is called non-cooperation. It's extremely frustrating. It is extremely frustrating. It creates a lot of pressure. Think left, right, and center. They are bringing in Indians. As soon as they reach, take my ID card. Right? Okay. Now, English will beat. That is called self-suffering. The English will take out in the form of violence. That is called self-suffering. But how many Indians you will beat? You can 100, 200, 1,000, 2,000. You can't beat that is the concept of passive resistance. Till what level will you go to do what you want? That is the concept. That is the concept. Registration Act, the non-cooperation was to frustrate the Britishers about something which was there. If done collectively, it's not one man. Everybody needs to do it. Okay. Now, this act was going on. In between, the British also introduced another act, which is called Immigration Act. Immigration Act is that it restricted the movement of Indians in between provinces and needed permission to move or migrate. In this, Gandhi used in South Africa what we call as civil disobedience. He crossed over from Natal to Transvaal with thousands of satyagrahis, and they said, okay, arrest us. Okay, arrest us. Arrest all of us. So why is it civil disobedience? Tell me, why is it civil disobedience? Why it is not non-cooperation? Why it is civil disobedience? Come on, everybody. Yes, very good. Because he broke the law. He broke a law which did not allow him to cross over. So Registration Act was about non-cooperation. Immigration Act is there's a law that you cannot cross from one part of the province to the next. So for example, from Delhi to Gurgaon, you can't go. That is the concept. For that, you need to register and you need to take permission. So what Gandhi did was he crossed over from Delhi to Gurgaon without taking permission, Natal to Transvaal. And therefore, he technically broke a law. That is why it becomes civil disobedience. So you see, in the first two instances, he's used his two basic methods, non-cooperation and civil disobedience. And he is now pushing for getting all of these acts repealed. But if that was not enough, the British are going to introduce the most financially hitting law in that regard, and that is called poll tax. Poll tax basically is that every Indian who had become free labor, in order to keep that status, need to pay £3 a month to the British. So I put in 10 years of my life to become a free labor Indian in South Africa. But now the British is saying that if you want to remain free, pay us £3 a month. If not, we will give you indentured status only. So imagine that you will not be considered an Indian if you don't pay 100 rupees a month to the government of India. So it's basically like you are a bonded labor. You became free after putting in all of your effort. But again, you are not going to get that status under the British Act. Your Registration Act will not say free, but rather it will say indentured if you don't pay £3 a month to the British. This is basically to push the Indians back to that indentured space, because now Indians are becoming more and more free. So their concept was that free Indian should not be there. Indentured Indian is the only one which should be there. Now, against this again, he will go for the concept of civil disobedience, wherein he will say that do not pay this do not pay this £3 a month. So I'm again defying the law. But one thing is very, very clear. Yeah, how Twitter wants you to pay for the blue tick. Yes, very good. So you can be on the platform, but you will not get the blue tick. That's a very good example, Swapnil. So very simply, Gandhi was pushing through Registration Act, Immigration Act, poll tax. However, by this point of time, his movement was starting to overheat. The movement was starting to overheat. The Indians had got arrested multiple times. He was now losing, technically people were losing faith in his method. However, it is at this point of time that he will take one farmhouse from his friend, a German friend, and he will introduce what is the concept of Tolstoy farm. The Tolstoy farm, which will be given to him by his German friend, is going to become a small place where everybody can rest and rejuvenate themselves. So the truce is taken after the poll tax because the British were not ready to accept neither the repealing of Registration Act or the Immigration Act or the poll tax. But the Indians by this point of time were doing civil disobedience and non-cooperation left, right and center. The British were getting frustrated but not ready to give up. So I hope these three acts you understand the basic point. All are in South Africa, nothing in India. Registration Act, which is which is non-cooperation, Immigration Act, civil disobedience, and poll tax, which is very simply every Indian who has become free has to pay, and £3 is a lot of money. £3 is a lot of money which needs to be paid to remain free in that regard. Are we clear? Yes. Reaction of the Indians to poll tax is civil disobedience. Don't pay the poll tax. As it is, Indians did not have the capacity to pay £3. Basically, it was to push back the Indians into the concept of indentured. Right? So everybody is following me till this point. Come on. Free labor means that you are not bound to a person. You can work for anybody. Great. Perfecto. Now, then what happened to poll tax? Pulkit, wait. I'm coming to it. British are not giving up on any. Now will come the worst act which Gandhi hated and became the turning point. It is called the Marriage Act. It is called the Marriage Act. Now, why is the Marriage Act considered so important? Because this will be the last push. Marriage Act said any marriage not done under Christian rituals and not registered under registrar of marriages is an illegal and illegitimate marriage. Which means that if you're a Hindu, if you're a Muslim, you're a Parsi, whatever you may be, all marriages are invalidated. Along with the fact that all children therefore become illegitimate. All children become illegitimate. All marriages are considered illegal and not defined by law. So this act, which was passed by the Supreme Court of South Africa, very simply said that you cannot register your marriage if it is not done under Christian rituals. And if you are not going to do that, your marriage is going to be considered illegal. And this act this is all applying to South Africa. I'm not gone to India only. To whom they marry? No, not South African. Indian to Indian, Hindu to Hindu, Hindu to Muslim, Parsi to Parsi, anybody. Simple point is, if there is a male and a female and their marriage is not registered under the registrar, if it is not done under a Christian ritual, it doesn't matter whatever religion you have, black, white, whatever it may be. Simple point is, it cannot be registered only. All in according to this, 99.9% of all families in South Africa were considered what we call as illegitimate marriages. It's not Hindu to Christian. You make it into a CSAT question. I know, no. Hindu to Christian, still it is not going to be considered if it done under Hindu rituals. You take yourself there and you try to find something, what you're going to apply, some article or something there. Simple point of the matter is that it doesn't matter whatever it may be. If you've not gone to the church, and if you have not gone to the church in front of the pastor, you will not be what we call as registered or accepted by the state as a legitimate marriage. All inheritance gone, all children illegitimate. Are we clear? Meaning all marriages should be done by Christian wedding. That's it. Now for Gandhi, this was a disrespect to the women. This was a disrespect to the rituals. It was a disrespect to the concept, because technically he also is not married to Kasturba Gandhi that way. The simple point of the matter is there's no concept of conversion and all. It's not to convert people. It's just to say that all marriages which are not Christian are just no marriages itself. It's showing the superiority of the concept of Christianity being the best. That's the only point which is there. So yeah, registration is to basically for surveillance. Registration can only happen if it's done under Christian rituals. So therefore, Marriage Act is considered as the last breaking point for Gandhi. Therefore, that in turn will lead to the last struggle which he will do. There will be mass protest. There will be the concept of civil disobedience. And every Indian will come onto the street. Every Indian will come onto the street itself. And thereafter, so much pressure will be created on the British that in 1914-15, the miracle of Gandhian method was that the British will give up and accept Gandhi's demand. And all these acts will be repealed. All these acts will be repealed. And that is the power of Gandhian methodology. In South Africa. India is not in the picture only right now. He's not left for India. In South Africa, 4 acts were passed which became very, very important for Gandhian methodology to mature. Registration Act, Immigration Act, Poll Tax, Marriage Act. Registration Act, the first one, non-cooperation. Immigration Act, civil disobedience. Poll Tax, civil disobedience. Marriage Act is the last push. Every Indian, in the sense Muslim, Hindu, everybody comes on the street because their marriages have not been accepted as legal. That in turn means that their women have been disrespected. It's the concept of rituals being disrespected. Culture has been disrespected. There will be so much pressure which will be created on the British by Gandhi that finally Gandhi will be called to the negotiating table and these acts will be taken away. Is this clear? Because I'll read it out of the PPT also for you. Marriage Act applied to everybody, not just to Indians. Right? Now, this is very significant. Why? Because somehow somebody made the British do something which they did not want to do. It is that finally British had to take back something which they had introduced. This was extremely significant. This was extremely significant because this is not what the British does. Understand this. British are not known to give up or even give 1% concession to anybody. But Gandhi, through his systematic methodology, Satyagraha method, day in, day after, was able to make the British accept his demand. So, nobody is asking you the details of poll tax, immigration or anything. I'm actually teaching you at an optional level at this point of time. But I hope that you can remember poll tax, immigration law, this rest in peace Mahatma, the RIPM, to know that, see, why am I telling you this? Because if you've seen this is a very significant phase for Gandhi. Gandhi had done something which nobody had made to do vis-a-vis the British. British had finally bowed down to the Satyagraha method. Satyagraha worked, and that is why when Gandhi will land in India, he was not an ordinary man. Gandhi was that person who was covered extensively in India in newspapers. He was that one Gandhi who had defeated the British in their own game itself. And I'll come to that concept when I'll talk about the coming back on 9th January 1915. But as of right now, can I just complete this story, give you a question, and then we can go to India? Yes? Okay, perfect. So let's read this story out. So the Satyagraha phase of Gandhi, the second phase of Gandhi, is linked to what began in 1906. Now we're doing the second revision that way. And it was characterized by the concept of passive resistance or civil disobedience, which Gandhi named as Satyagraha. It was first used by the government when they enacted the Registration Act, which made compulsory for all Indians to take out certificate of registration, which held their fingerprints. This was essential to carry on the person at all times itself. On 11 September 1906, a huge meeting will be held at the Empire Theatre in Johannesburg. Indians resolved that they would not submit to this law and are ready to face the consequence. The government remained adamant, so did the Indians, and Gandhi performed formed the Passive Resistance or Association to conduct the campaign. The government brought in a new legislation which restricted the Indian immigration within the South African sector, and the campaign widened to oppose this also. And in 1908, prominent members of the Natal Congress and along with the Passive Resistance Association crossed over from Natal to Transvaal to defy the new immigration law, therefore civil disobedience. This was non-corruption civil disobedience. The more committed Satyagrahis continued to go in and out of jail, continued to basically put in majority of their effort in showing that we are resisting the British. However, they were also showing fatigue by this point of time. Because of this overheating of the movement, because of these two acts itself, Gandhi set up the Tolstoy Farm after getting a generous offering from his German architect friend, Klenbach, to house the families of the Satyagrahis and sustain them. Tolstoy Farm becomes the precursor for the concept of ashrams, which Gandhi is going to bring up in India. Then comes poll tax, a £3 tax imposed on all ex-indentured Indians. The inclusion of the demand for the abolition of poll tax was important because Indian could not earn, was earning less than 10 shillings. Shilling means 100 shillings is £1. So 10 paisa they were actually earning, and they're asking for £1 that way. So the struggle is going to widen again. Thereafter, the major fuel to fire will be added when the Supreme Court will pass a judgment which will invalidate all marriages not conducted according to Christian rites and not registered with the Registrar of Marriages. This implied all Hindu, Muslim, Parsi marriages were illegal and all children within it were illegitimate. The Indians treated this as a judgment, as an insult in South Africa, not in India. All things happening in South Africa. So the Indians treated this judgment as an insult to the honor of their women, and many women were drawn into this movement because of this indignity. Gandhi decided that this was the final push for the struggle itself. So he went for civil disobedience, mass struggle, and channelized all the resources into it. Because of that, eventually, Gandhi, the Viceroy, Lord Harding came from India, C.F. Andrews, and General Smutt, who is the basic person who is ruling South Africa, all agreed to reach an agreement with the government of South Africa generally. And it conceded to all the demands. The poll tax, the registration certificate were all abolished. marriages were sodomized under Indian rituals were registered and recognized, and they promised that the Indian migration question will be seen through sympathetic manner itself. How was he able to mobilize? When it comes to your marriages, when it comes to women, when it comes to your day-to-day rituals, day-to-day life, everybody gets mobilized. So before we go to India, let me summarize this whole section for you. For the curious people who love their dates, I've given you every date which is important for Gandhi in South Africa and in London. So this is for your reference. Please do not learn this, just for your reference. Do not learn. Can I summarize all of this section and give you a question and then move to India? Can we do that? Why are they introducing absurd laws? Because that is the way they show superiority, right? Now, why Gandhi came to India? We'll talk about that. Shivaji. Okay. Now, since the beginning, now we've gone for 2 hours, close to 2 hours. We've discussed two very basic things. Formative influences on Gandhi, which is the way his mother, his reading, his what we call as London experience creates a certain understanding in him. So between 1869 to 1893, he is creating his own understanding. And the second thing which we discuss is his South African experience. Now, why is the South African experience generally important? Because it is because of two reasons. First reason is that he went through his moderate phase there only. So there was no need for him to do it in India. And this is very significant because therefore he was able to develop Satyagraha. And Satyagraha method was refined, in a way refined, made effective and fine-tuned in South Africa. Now understand one thing. Satyagraha experimentation had already been done. Further, the most important concept is don't look at the screen. Understand this. Before he gets down from this train, he has already shown to the people that Satyagraha works. Now, simply, when Gandhi will land in 1915 in India, he has already shown that he can make the British take back their acts. And more than that, Satyagraha as a method works. More than that, he knows what to do. Think of it like ISRO doing all the experimentation, that is his South African experience, and India is the main launch which happens. Because everything with regards to that is more or less completed. So why is Gandhi's South African experience considered so important? Because he went through his moderate phase and was also able to refine his method of Satyagraha via the 4 interventions. If we understand this, I would like to give you a question to show you how they can ask you this in the examination. Very sophisticated question that way, but I hope you will understand it. So it will say that the Gandhian South African experience was an important phase of experimentation of his methodology and significant for Indian history. Do you agree? Do you agree? 250 words. Can I answer this question? Come on, tell me. You have the capability of answering this question. Yes? Now do you understand why it is so significant to study South African experience? Cannot study Gandhi without understanding South Africa. Because if you don't understand South Africa, then you basically don't understand why is Gandhi Gandhi. And why is Gandhi's aura like that? vis-a-vis when he lands in India itself. Yes. Now I want everybody's consent that till this point what we've covered is totally clear in their mind, because now I'm going to bring back Gandhi to India. Can we do that? This is a real picture. Yes. Okay. So everybody is clear. Everybody is clear with regards to whatever we've covered till this point. No issues at all. What will you write in this? You will just write that Gandhi's experience in South Africa is significant because he went through his moderate mentality, and also Satyagraha as a method was used 4 times and he was able to show to the people that Satyagraha works. Okay. Now on 9th January 1915, Gandhi comes back. Conclusion is going to be that it is extremely important because before landing into India, he has already developed his basic methodology. Now, very simply, 9th January 1915, very significant date, Pravasi Bharatiya Divas. It is celebrated in India. Now, in 1915, he lands in India. Some of you asked me why. Why did he come to India? Because his historical role in South Africa was over. And more than that, Gopal Krishna Gokhale and Gandhi now agreed that the time was right to now use this method in India to give India independence. So see, in 1830, in 1891, Gandhi was not ready to come back to India because he did not understand what the British were doing to India. By staying in South Africa for so long, he now understood what colonialism is. So he now vouched to come to that country which gave him what he was and his culture, to free it. So when you ask me this question, why did Gandhi come back to India? Because now he wanted to use this method to give us independence. He had now understood what colonialism is, and his basic understanding was, I am here to now help the Indians get their independence and to free India from its bondage itself. So that basic point of the matter is that our understanding is very simple. Yes, Aditi, I can see you've not written the question. The simple point of the matter is very simple. If you're asking me why is he coming back to India, then you're forgetting that he has now gained experience vis-a-vis how does colonialism work. So you understand this point that his coming back to India is his own conscious choice so as to free India and understand that yes, colonialism is a bad thing. He had not seen colonialism in 1891, but he'd seen colonialism by this point of time in proper concept. Yes? Are we clear? This point, why does he come back on 9th January 1915? Yes? Okay, perfect. Now, I'm going to discuss with you, British did not deport him. No. Now, I'm going to discuss a concept with you here. The concept I'm discussing with you is not even what we call as UPSC level. It's not even optional level. It's academic level. But it's a very important concept, because if you need to actually understand why Gandhi is Gandhi, you need to understand the concept of Gandhi Darshan. I will discuss that with you. So now I'm going to go into a certain discussion, which is basically a little bit higher than what we discuss, but a very significant discussion generally vis-a-vis your understanding. So it's not that UPSC is going to ask a question about it, but I believe that you should have that level of understanding, right? So very simply, we'll take it a step further, and then we'll come back and we'll go to Kheda, Ahmedabad and Champaran, right? Okay. Now, 1915, everybody's ready. I need your concentration now. I need your attention, because this is a little bit difficult, but extremely interesting that way. Okay. Prelims and all these things don't come. They're very theoretical questions. Now, 1915, Gandhi reaches India. All newspapers have been covering Gandhi, how he took back poll tax, how he took back Marriage Act. Now comes Gandhi to India. So even before he lands in Surat or back in India itself, everybody knows him. Everybody knows him. But Gandhi came in a suit. But Gandhi is a very good strategist. He's a very good propagandist in the sense that he knows how to manage public relations well. So the first thing which Gandhi does is he gives up his suit boot. He says that in a country where there is nothing to eat, there is no point wearing or traveling like a Britisher. So if he is wearing a suit, he is technically looking like a Britisher. So he gives up this suit and pant and he now wears his iconic dhoti, which you see here. The iconic dhoti, which basically changes his aura. Now, herein comes the concept of aura, charisma, and the image of Gandhi. See, Gandhi gave up that suit boot because people were not going to connect with him. So rather, he started to look more like a personality who resembles more like a Baba. And herein comes the concept of Gandhi Baba. See, Gandhi knew one thing, that in India, one thing will sell for sure, which sells till today, which is religion. If anything can connect people, it is religion. So if I'm going to look like a Britisher, I'm going to look like a Britisher, so the people will disconnect. But if I am going to change my aura that I'm a spiritual personality, then first the outward image towards the British is also different and towards the Indians is also different. What do I mean by that? See, if the Britisher asks Gandhi, what are you here for? He will say, truth, spiritual. I'm here for seeking truth. What do you want? Satyagraha. I will fight for my truth. Now, what will a Britisher say to that? Now, this is to project a certain image. Second is that Gandhi knew that he had done something which nobody had done in India, which is to make the British take back something. So when Gandhi now starts, when he comes to India, the first thing which he does is that he does not join any group. He says INC is useless. He says Home Rule League is useless. He says all of these are fools. I'm not going to join anybody. Rather, I will tour India. Now imagine he's going to use the same railways which the British created to now say that I want to see India. I want to look at my own country. Desh Darshan. By looking at India, I want to see the plight of the peasant. I want to see the plight of the worker. Nobody had done it till this point of time. Nobody had done it at this point of time who said that I want India to be toured. But what is more significant is now Gandhi's movement is going to become pilgrimage. And herein comes the concept of Gandhi Baba and Gandhi Darshan. Concept of Gandhi Baba and Gandhi Darshan. See, there's a very interesting article by Shahid Amin on the concept of very celebrated historian on Gandhi Darshan. If you go around in United Provinces, Central Provinces, and you go to the peasant, there were stories which were linked to Gandhi for which Gandhi was actually not even connected. So the concept became that there's a Baba which has come from South Africa. He has the method and the spell to remove the British. And now people start to associate things with Gandhi which are not related to Gandhi also. So for example, peasants started to say, my cow was very ill. I went to the railway station, saw Gandhi and came back and my cow was perfect. This is called Gandhi Darshan. He is now using his aura. Rather, people are projecting certain things on Gandhi itself. People said that my landlord was very bad. I went to the railway station, saw Gandhi, and I came back, and the landlord broke his leg. So there is no connection between the landlord breaking his leg and Gandhi, but people are saying, because I saw Gandhi, Gandhi has that power to take away power from the oppressor. This is what is Gandhi's image. This is why Gandhi is Gandhi. Because Gandhi, through his movement across India, created a certain image of he was larger than life. The concept of Mahatma, the Baba who had now come to remove the British from India. People started to associate that I had a bad crop. I went to see Gandhi and I came back and my crop was better. I had this, I had this, I had that. Very simply, they are projecting this image onto Gandhi. And the most important point is that one thing which the INC was not able to do, which the Home Rule League was not able to do, which the extremists were not able to do, which is to bring in the peasant. The peasant, that last person who was there on the ground. Nobody knew who was Gopal Krishna Gokhale. Nobody knew who was Firoz Shah Mehta. Nobody knew that he was hit by a shoe. But before Gandhi's train used to reach, every peasant knew that Gandhi Baba is coming. Gandhi Baba is coming. There used to be literally lakhs of people waiting for the station to just get a glimpse of Gandhi. And Gandhi was that way very smart also. If Gandhi, imagine a peasant is waiting for Gandhi to get down and Gandhi gets down with this type of attire in a suit boot, will people actually associate with him? No. People wanted to see a certain image which Gandhi was also ready to project, which is this concept of Gandhi Baba. Further understand that Gandhi also had a very interesting strategy. Everybody is following me, right? This concept of Gandhi Darshan. That Gandhi Darshan had now become a spectacle. Everybody got connected with this concept of Gandhi Darshan. But Gandhi also did one very interesting thing. He needed to show to the British that he was not doing political activity, but spiritual activity. Now, if I'm a woman in 1900s, 1915, if I say to my family that I'm going to go for a political rally, will anybody allow me to go there? No. Now, Gandhi, every time his meetings used to start, they used to start with a bhajan. Vaishnav Janto Tene Kahiye and Raghupati Raghav Rajaram. The use of that song was actually because he used to project to the British that I am having a spiritual discussion. And women, peasants and people used to say, no, we are not going for a political rally. We are going for bhajan. We are going for Gandhi Baba's darshan and Gandhi Baba's what we call as concept of in a way bhajan or spirituality. So the British can also not say anything. Yes, there's a Baba who is now technically singing some song itself, but he was using religion to mask the political. He knew that the British would not dare touch religion. And second, he also knew that if I say that I am going to tell you the Angrezi hukumat ka kacha chitta, nobody is going to come. Rather, I am just here to discuss truth. How to seek truth. Gandhi was totally different. And as of right now, the communal understanding is not such that other minorities are not going to come. Don't project a 2023 understanding. As it is, people are not filled with hate as of right now. The simple point of the matter is, Gandhi was something larger than life. Now do you get the point that when I say that if Gandhi does a fast and he dies, why would people burn the British? Because Gandhi's image was much bigger than what he was. He was the only person. See, Gandhi could wear a badge and say, see, I'm the only person in this room who has defeated the British. So I'm not going to brag about it. I'm not going to say it, but I am that same person who defeated the British in South Africa. But in India, he understood one thing very quickly, that South African imperialism and Indian imperialism was different. and that I'll tell you vis-a-vis how he chose what he chose. So are we clear with regards to Gandhi starting an ashram? Ashram are started by Babas. The concept of Gandhi Darshan, the concept of truth seeking, the concept of how Gandhi created an aura, did not get associated with anybody so as to create his independent identity. Are we clear with regards to this? Yes? Perfect. Now, the next important discussion, once I'll read it out and then I'll discuss the three interventions. So Gandhi, as soon as he came back to India, he created what is called the Sabarmati Ashram in Ahmedabad. Objective was religious community, traditional Hindu pattern, simplicity of life, celibacy, truthfulness, manual labor, hand spinning, indigenous products. Very simple ideas he had, not hi-fi ideas that way. Further, on returning on 9 January 1915, everybody knew, not even educated, but the masses, that there was a person coming from South Africa who knew how to defeat the British. He decided to tour the country for the next 1 year, see for the conditions of the masses himself, decided not to take any position on political matter for at least 1 year. And as for the political currents prevalent, he was convinced that the moderates are useless, and he was not very convinced by Home Rule League generally because of their basic targets itself. So Gandhi and Gandhi Darshan now has created the context for the three interventions where he will get involved: Champaran, Ahmedabad, and Kheda. Now I need to understand something, or I want you to understand something very interesting here. Gandhi came, toured India, but he could have not just gone to Champaran, but rather he could have easily taken the larger issue of separate electorates. It's not that in India there are no issues. In India there are issues. Separate electorates, communalism is rising, the concept of moderates being useless, extremists are happening, British are oppressive. Lot of options are available to Gandhi. But Gandhi was smart. If he takes something which cannot give him a result, then he will be discredited. I say that I will go to America and contest the election of an American president and I will win the election. Absurd. Absurd. Because I am doing certain things which cannot be possible at this point of time. So if Gandhi actually chooses to go against separate electorates, you think that Gandhi would have succeeded? As of 1915, if Gandhi says, I am going to fast unto death till the British don't take back separate electorates, no one cares. The British won't care. Rather, Gandhi chose his first three interventions very, very strategically. All three interventions were local, involved peasant and workers, to show to the peasant and worker that Satyagraha works, but also to show to the people of India that Satyagraha works. If he had not chosen them very, very strategically, then it would have been hard for Gandhi to prove that actually what he was doing works. And I'll tell you a very major irony in this story. Gandhian methodology, now listen to this word, Gandhian methodology did not work after Ahmedabad. Champaran, he was able to get concessions. Kheda, he was able to get concessions. In Ahmedabad, he was able to get concessions. The next intervention of Gandhi is Rowlatt. Did Rowlatt Act get repealed after Gandhi went for Satyagraha? No. Rowlatt Act, Satyagraha started, Jallianwala Bagh happened, he took a truce. Thereafter, Khilafat and non-cooperation is what he chose for the next, which we do tomorrow. Did the British change their approach when Gandhi went for non-cooperation movement? No. 2 years, nothing happened. Chauri Chaura will happen. He will withdraw the movement. Civil disobedience movement he started so that within 2 years India gets independence. 2 years happened, civil disobedience started to overheat. So he takes Gandhi Irwin Pact. Roundtable conferences, not able to do anything. Then he came back, started civil disobedience phase 2. Again did not work, gave up. And technically after 1940 itself, Gandhi was not very mainstream vis-a-vis politics itself. So basically, Gandhian methodology only work in these first 3 interventions. Throughout that, he never met his target. Anytime he took an all India level issue, it never worked. And this is where Gandhi's understanding is extremely significant. If he had done that in the beginning, Gandhi would not be Gandhi. Rather, Gandhi's intervention initially was in local issues where he could win it and then show to the people, see, that I can do it. But thereafter, it actually never worked. People were progressively getting frustrated by Gandhian methodology, but Gandhi did one thing which nobody was able to do, which is to transform Indian nationalism into mass nationalism. And the beauty of Gandhian methodology, as much as you can criticize him, as much as you can mock him, as much as you can do whatever you want. But in 1942, when Quit India movement will start, every leader is going to get arrested. But the masses knew what to do only because Gandhi taught them what to do. So it is extremely easy to criticize Gandhian methodology. I am also saying that his methodology did not work in the next 3 movements. But what he had actually taught the Indians was how to fight without a leader. And that is why Gandhi's contribution to Indian history is unparalleled that way. Though he will have a conflict with Bose, he will have a conflict with Nehru. Nehru will not agree with him after 1940. Bose, as it is, will leave the Congress because of him. His understanding was totally different after 1940 itself. But he is that person who you cannot ignore in Indian politics. He is that person who changed or took away the issues which were there in our Indian nationalism. Mass nationalism means everybody became a part of the national movement. The smallest to smallest peasant also knew how British worked and that the British needs to go. So I am trying to give you a much sophisticated understanding of Gandhi, saying that Gandhi is not important because he was able to succeed. Gandhi is not Gandhi because he was able to win. Gandhi is Gandhi because he changed Indian nationalism for the better and forever. Are we clear with regards to this concept? Then I'll go into Champaran and all. Yes? Are you able to understand the larger concept? He's a very good strategist. He was very smart personality. He is also very, very clear with regards to what he wants to do. He also is very, very clear in regards to how he wants to project himself. There is images. People tend to say that Gandhi is that person who says that if somebody slaps you, don't slap back, then person is slapped. Don't reduce Gandhi to this level. Please don't do that. Because if there was no Gandhi, there was no independence. As much as not discrediting any other important personality, but Gandhi is Gandhi, remember that. So this is a very important point you need to understand. Because he is very strategic, very strategic. He knew how to negotiate Indian independence. Right? Okay. Can we go to now Champaran, Kheda and Ahmedabad? Small discussions, not very big vis-a-vis that. The 3 interventions. Right? Okay. See, critiques will say critique. Gandhi had an issue. Gandhian intervention into women was also problematic. His own, see, he is not perfect. Nobody is perfect. But the point is that how do you approach Gandhi is equally important. You can't discredit a person because of what he did, or you are analyzing him in his own context. For us as UPSC aspirants, as an Indian, it is important to understand that what Gandhi did was not a joke. Simple point. We take all of this for granted in that regard. Okay. Now, you see, remember one thing. There will be nobody in that board, if you will go to the UPSC board and you will say Gandhi is great, that somebody saying, how can you say no? Nobody. Everybody sitting there is a bureaucrat. Everybody understands the national movement. So you are not talking to a layman on the road. So please understand this. You are trying to ask me, how should I defend Gandhi? Why do we need to defend Gandhi? Gandhi is Gandhi. If you will be able to do only 1% of what he did, then we'll be great itself. So that's not the point. So nobody is going to say, no, how can you say Gandhi is great? He did this, he did that. He has his problems. Nobody is actually saying that he's perfect. I am not saying that he's perfect. I'm just trying to say he did something which no one else was able to do, which is to unite India into one. We'll have such type of discussions. We'll have such type of discussion vis-a-vis Gandhi Bose also. We'll have a discussion vis-a-vis Gandhi Bhagat Singh also. And we'll talk about Bhagat Singh generally. So we'll discuss these things. I try to go to this level because I believe that you are the future of India. So therefore, you need to understand everybody in the right perspective. Haters will hate. That is their concept. You need to understand it in a unique way. So I hope this was the academic level discussion I was having with you. Now I'll come back to UPSC level if you want to. Right? Clear, everybody? Dr. Ambedkar will also discuss vis-a-vis Gandhi. Firstly, never write this Gandhi versus Ambedkar, Gandhi versus Bose, Gandhi Nehru versus nobody. Everybody wanted the same thing, which is Indian independence. They had their disagreements, but they were such statesmen that they agreed to disagree, which we don't believe in today. That is the basic point. Okay. Now, the first three interventions, please understand this, is that he did not want to take mass issues. Rather, he wanted to go to micro issues, which is Champaran, Kheda, and Ahmedabad. Now, I'll give you a basic overview of all three, and then we'll go into the PPT. Acceptable, everybody? Okay, great. So let's talk about Champaran. See, Champaran is a district in Bihar, which was caught up into the same problem, which is indigo. And in Champaran, there's a very specific system which is called Teen Kathia system. Teen Kathia mean, see, 1 bigha, which is a measurement of land, is 20 kattha. So basically, Teen Kathia mean 3 kattha. You have to grow indigo. So 3/20th of your land, you have to grow indigo. And by this point of time, by 1917, growing indigo was useless because the synthetic kattha and bigha are ways of measuring land used in North India quite a lot. So we use acre, hectare, this and that. Till today, we say 1 bigha, 2 bigha, 3 bigha. 1 bigha has 20 katthas within it. So it's a standard concept which is used throughout that period. 1 bigha equals to how many square feet? Please Google that. I don't care. Now, 1 bigha equals to 20 kattha. Therefore, 3 kathia means 3/20th of the land. You have to very simply grow indigo. Now, as I said, indigo production at this point of time is a futile concept because the synthetic dye has already come, very low rate. However, the planters in this section were still pushing for Champaran peasants to go for indigo. So planter oppression was there. Now, the Teen Kathia system was taken into consideration first by the Bihar Congress, basically a smaller wing of the Congress. But nothing was really happening. Nothing was really happening. So therefore, there will be a person called, what is his name? Come on, tell me. What is the name of that person? Yes, very good. Raj Kumar Shukla, who was the member of that Bihar Congress. He will approach Gandhi and he will explain to Gandhi the issue in Champaran. He will explain to Gandhi that in Champaran there's the Teen Kathia system, indigo is being produced, and indigo will be produced illegally because indigo has no market value itself. The peasants are trying to remove it, but it's not working. Now, Gandhi will see the merit in this scheme, that this is something where I can actually intervene and it can give me tangible results. So Gandhi will agree. He will say, okay, I will go with you. And now Gandhi will travel with a band of lawyers with him. And these lawyers are extremely significant because in them we will have our first president, Rajendra Prasad, and a lot of important personalities who will later become very important Gandhian leaders. Now you see how Gandhi actually operated. J.B. Kripalani, yes. As soon as Gandhi will reach Champaran, and he was accompanied by, at this point of time, Bal Gangadhar Tilak, Annie Besant also. What is going to happen is that the magistrate will say that Gandhi is not allowed to enter, or any Congress member is not allowed to enter Champaran district. If you will enter, I will have to arrest you. So his entry is prohibited. Ironically, Tilak and Annie Besant and a lot of leaders went back. But Gandhi said, no, I will go and I am ready to accept the consequences. Gandhi will straight away reach the magistrate's office and say, I'm here, arrest me. Magistrate did not believe or did not even think that Gandhi was going to do that. Gandhi did not join INC. INC is not joined till this point. He's just a towering leader, that's it. So he says, arrest me, I am in Champaran. Now, Gandhi will be arrested. So in the first moment itself, he's done civil disobedience. He's defied the law itself. Thereafter, Gandhi will be arrested. Now, magistrate, what can he do? There are thousands of people waiting for this personality outside. There is no law which can technically keep you detained forever. So within 2 to 3 hours, Gandhi will be released, and Gandhi showed the magic of civil disobedience within the first hour itself. See, I said, jail bharo. Let's go. So Gandhi is arrested, with the release within 2 hours. Now he will go and meet the peasants. Now see, the peasant was never able to get connected with the moderate or the extremist mentality because of 2 reasons. Moderate say petition. The peasant does not know how to write only. And the extremists say self-sacrifice. Go and shoot a Britisher, which is also not possible because every Indian can't do that. You have a family, you have certain responsibilities. Gandhi says and goes and says to the peasant, do one thing. Don't pay rent. He said no rent. No rent campaign. He will say to the peasants, don't do anything. Sit there, enjoy. Don't have to sacrifice anything. Don't have to do anything. Just when they ask you to pay rent, don't pay it. And not one, not two, but all of you don't pay rent. And the peasant saw, perfect method. I have to not do anything only. I will sit and have my hookah. I am perfect. So the method works. And what is going to happen is that the British will first create a little bit of pressure. No, but problem is, if nobody is going to pay it, what are they going to do? They are going to beat up the whole village. That is also not possible. So as it is, as soon as the peasant takes the concept of no rent campaign, it starts to work. And now the British, the magistrate, same magistrate, Gandhi says, see, the peasants are oppressed. They are not paying any rent only. Now the British had no other choice. The British now have to take cognizance of the matter, and they will appoint a small commission. People will say, peasants need to be represented. Peasants will say, Gandhi will represent us. Planters said that, okay, we will send one representative and the British are going to arbitrate. Now, if Gandhi wanted, he could have said that all illegal money which you've taken from the peasants, give it back to the peasants. But Gandhi knew that that was not going to work. Because if you ask 100% of refund, nobody is going to give you that. So he said, okay, there has been injustice which has happened. 25% of all illegal dues should be given back to the peasant. 25% was not a big amount and could be transferred at that moment itself. As soon as Gandhi leaves Champaran, Teen Khatia system is abolished. Planters will leave this sector itself. Britisher came and gave money to a peasant. Imagine. Kaliyug aa gaya. Gandhi Baba did a spell that a Britisher planter came and gave money to the peasant. They knew how to take money. Here is Gandhi making them pay money to them. It's a real first in India. And this is what is the power of Gandhi. Gandhi knew that Champaran is going to actually work because here it was such a micro issue that the planters had to pay in that regard. Champaran clear, everybody? Come on. Champaran clear? Yes. Teen Khatia system is the production of indigo on 3 of your 20th land, 3 20th, 3 katthas out of the 20 kattha which make a bigha. Okay. Now the second intervention is Kheda. Now Kheda is equally interesting. Kheda, what is happening that in the Kheda district of Gujarat, there was a major crop loss. There was a major drought and there was crop failure. Now, the bubonic plague also impacted Kheda quite a lot. Bubonic plague means the rat-based plague or rat-based disease itself. So there was a rule, and it's in the revenue code. It's in the revenue code of the British itself, that if your production falls under 1/4 of capacity, for example, if you are producing 400 kgs and you are able to produce only 80 or 90 kgs, your production capacity is below 1/4. So the concept was that if your production falls under 1/4 of capacity, you are entitled for remission in taxes. Remission in taxes means that your taxes will be reduced. Remission means to reduce. However, in Kheda, again, the British were not putting this rule into play. It is their own rule, which is written in their own revenue code, but they were not applying it on Kheda. So again, there's a lot of hue and cry in the Kheda by the peasantry that we are not getting a remission in taxes. The British are asking for 50% more tax. We have crop failure, drought. So again, two personalities who were related to the Congress are going to get involved, and they will again invite Gandhi to intervene in Kheda. Kheda, here Sardar Patel is going to play a very important role in that regard. Kheda, he will get involved, and when he will get involved, he will again see that there's a merit in this. He will again come to Kheda, say to all the peasants, no rent. Don't pay rent, don't do anything. Don't pay rent only. How much they can take. They will confiscate your property. They let them confiscate your property, but everybody pays no rent. Again, as soon as the people stopped paying rent to the British, it came into the attention of the British authorities that no revenue is getting generated only. And thereafter, Gandhi is going to quote to them that a revenue code says this. And thereafter, the British have to give up because now the band of lawyers were saying that there is legal action against you because you are not putting your own revenue code. British will have to take back this concept itself. All illegal dues will be paid back. Confiscated properties will be paid back. By June of 1918, Gandhi will, in his own style, take back the movement because he achieved what he wanted to achieve. So Kheda is basically based again on peasants. He's again done what nobody had done till this point, which is to make the Britisher give back something to Indians. So Champaran Kheda is both peasant. Any issue here? Everything is written in the PPT also. I'm giving you the basic idea here, right? Okay, very good. Now, let's go to Ahmedabad and then we'll finish our discussion for today. Ahmedabad. Kheda and Ahmedabad both are 1918. Now, Ahmedabad is a little bit different. It's worker. See, Ahmedabad has a lot of competition from the city of Surat. Both cities are known for their cotton mills and generally their industries, which had come up by 1918. But Ahmedabad always had a competition with labor moving to Surat. So Ahmedabad people needed to attract. So during the plague, in order to attract labor to Ahmedabad, the workers were actually given what is called a 50% plague bonus. So if your wage was 100 rupees, they paid you 50 rupees above that as a plague bonus, so that the workers would not leave the city, so that the mills could still work. However, with the bubonic plague gone, the mill owners, who are mostly Indians, wanted to remove this 50% plague bonus. But the workers said that you are removing it in between the First World War. Wartime inflation has happened. We want a 50% plague bonus in some other form, but we want 50%. So now there was a basic standoff between the mill owners versus the workers. The workers will thereafter strike and they will say, we will not work only. The mill owners will say, we are ready to pay you 20% hike. The workers will say, we want 50% hike. Now, there will be a person called Ambalal Sarabhai, who is also the father of Vikram Sarabhai. Who is Vikram Sarabhai? ISRO, yes. Very important personality. Father of Indian space technology along with Homi Bhabha and all. So you have Vikram Sarabhai. Vikram Sarabhai, not Vikram Sarabhai's father, rather Ambalal Sarabhai. He will be one of the mill owners. His sister is going to be a very good associate of, or will be very influenced by Gandhi. And Gandhi will get again involved on the request of the sister of Ambalal Sarabhai. And now he will understand the whole issue. He will say to the workers that your 50% is too much. He will say to the mill owners that your 20% is too less. So he said not 50, not 20, 35% is good enough. But the mill owners were again not ready to accept that 35%. So the mill owners will say that we will open the mills irrespective of the workers itself. So Gandhi could see that he had to do something. So Gandhi will use the most annoying method of his, which is fast on to death. He said that if the workers are not given 35% of their bonus or 25% as bonus, I will fast on to death. I will kill myself. I will sit there, not eat anything. I will die, but I will get the workers this 35%. And thereafter what happens is that the mill owners can't let Gandhi die over 15%. So they will concede to that 35%. And Gandhi was now able to impress the workers also. So Gandhi within 2 years had twice showed to the British who he was, showed to the peasant that his method works, and showed to the workers that he is also there for them. These two major parts of India, workers and peasants, were never made part of the Indian national movement, but they are now part of the Indian national movement following Gandhi to his death. Right? Ahmedabad Satyagraha, there's no British. It's Indian mill owners versus Indian workers. All this made sense to you? Can I read it out to you and we can close this area? Yes, perfecto. Very good. Now, Champaran. Champaran, very simply, peasant discontent against European planters since 1860s, forceful production of indigo under Teen Katia system, 3/20th of land had to go into indigo. Significant role was played by local, middle and rich peasant leaders also, but there was no avail for regards to that. So under Teen Katia, out of the 20 kattha, Teen kattha you had to produce the indigo. Planters were taking illegal dues at an illegal price. As it is, the synthetic dye from Germany was available. So therefore, there was no point in that regard. So in 1915, the Bihar Provincial Conference will going to take up this issue in the annual session of the INC. Nothing is going to happen. Lucknow Congress member Rajkumar Shukla is going to go and approach Gandhi. Gandhi will arrive in Champaran with a band of lawyers, including Rajendra Prasad, to fight it out with the British. Now, as soon as he will come, the authorities will ask Gandhi to leave or he should face punishment. Everybody else will leave, but Gandhi won't. Gandhi was arrested and then released by the magistrate. Gandhi was convinced that the riots should go for non-violence and what is called passive resistance. It is in the Dorkhana plantation that no rent campaign was started by him. Villagers of the Belwa plantation are going to join. Don't have to remember these things. The peasants soon realized that passive resistance was more comparatively safe and much more compatible with how they were living. Passive resistance was the best method against unjust rule. The government, under pressure, will appoint the Indigo Commission, in which Gandhi will be nominated. Gandhi will convince the authorities that Teen Katia should be abolished. Peasants should be compensated for their illegal dues. 25% of that illegal due will be compensated to the peasant by the planter. And Gandhi had made the planter pay for something he had been doing for centuries. Gandhian leaders who had joined him here are very, very significant. Rajendra Prasad, J.B. Kriplani, you have Mahadev Desai, Mazul Haq, and Brij Kishore Prasad. All of them are later going to become towering leaders within the Congress, but the most known Rajendra Prasad, J.B. Kriplani, and Mahadev Desai. Thereafter, Kheda is a very simple concept. Drought in 1918, failure of the crops itself. There was a rise in agricultural wages. However, bubonic plague is going to outbreak. Government will refuse to remit what is called remission of the taxes under revenue code. They were entitled for remission if the production falls below 1/4. Bombay government threatened confiscation of property. No rent campaign will be started by Mohanlal Pandya and Shankarlal Parikh. Gujarat Sabha will request Gandhi to join. Gandhi decided to launch a Satyagraha campaign where he again asked no rent campaign. Because of this pressure, the authorities will have to agree. Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, R.S. Vyas, Narhari Parikh will play again a very important role. The peasants will refuse to submit to giving any form of rent even when their land was confiscated. And this confiscated property, if anybody was buying it, they were boycotting that person also. Therefore, based on this, in April of 1918, government will come out with concessions. They will increase the taxes. Increased taxes will be suspended. Confiscated land will be given back to the peasantry. Gandhi, in his swagger, is going to then call off the movement by June of 1918. Thereafter, last but not the least, is Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad had transformed into an industrial town. Mill owners always faced labor scarcity. So since 1917, they were giving what is called a plague bonus to dissuade the person to go away from the city. Once the epidemic was gone, the bonus was discontinued. However, they were demanding bonus on wartime inflation. 20% hike mill owners wanted to give, 50% hike the peasants wanted. However, rather the workers wanted. However, there was no agreement with regards to that. Ambalal Sarabhai was one of the mill owners, Gandhi's friend. Anasuya Sarabhai, the sister of Ambalal, had great respect for Gandhi. Gandhi proposed that 50% was too much, 35% was enough, and they should organize basic workers' organization meetings. Pamphlets were also distributed. However, when the mill owners will say, this should be 18. When the mill owners will say that we will open it in March of 1918 without any increase to 20% or not even increase to 35%, Gandhi will go on to fast on to death. It will compel the mill owners to start negotiations. Last settlement, 35%. He will call off his fast. So therefore, the three interventions demonstrate three different things to the people of India. First, non-violence is effective. Importance of cooperation with the British is the basis of their rule itself. Kheda showed him that political campaigns could weaken even the resolve of the government. Satyagraha can be used as a weapon against injustice, not even for political purposes. Simple point is, here he showed civil disobedience. Here he showed civil disobedience and he showed non-cooperation. Here he showed non-cooperation and here he showed fast. Right? Clear, everybody? So if all of this is clear, we'll just summarize his approach in the first 2 to 3 years. Are we clear? Yes or no? Yes? Okay. So what was Gandhi's approach? And tomorrow we start the Gandhian phase of our Indian nationalism. But what was Gandhi's approach? Considered Gopal Krishna Gokhale as his political guru, that everybody knows that he was the one who said that do not join anybody, stay independent. Traveled extensively throughout India in 1916 and 17. The most interesting thing is he used religious idioms to mobilize the people. Religious idioms means that he used religious symbolism to mobilize the people. I've already told you this point. He also said that religious morality can help people rather than history. So he rather said that I will give them truth, spirituality, which is going to be connected more to them rather than giving them lessons out of history. He had no vested interest in the political status quo. He was also ready to shift the power away from the Western educated elites to the hands of the masses. That is why mass nationalism. Further, he had a clear vision of plurality or plural society. This is a very important point. He knew that India was diverse and he knew that diversity should be used in a constructive way. So, pluralistic society means that India has multiple religions, multiple identities, multiple cultures. So, this diversity should be used constructively rather than dividing. So, don't use divide and rule, but unity in diversity. This is the concept of unity in diversity. Ideal of united India. Promised a program that was also spiritually noble. Again, telling to the people that if you remove the British, you will also get punya from God itself. Swaraj was the political goal. Moderates in the means and extremists in their mentality. So he said that I will also get it through constitutional means, but I'm not going to sit like the moderates hand on hand and wait for something to happen. And he was also able to unite the Hindus and Muslims, as you will see tomorrow, in the non-cooperation movement under Khilafat. So very simply, before I end this session, let's try to summarize what we've done generally. We've understood quite a lot today. We've understood Gandhi, the man, how he got influenced between 1869 and 1893 by the things which he did. Then we tried to understand his South African experience, how South African experience gave him a certain aura, and more than that, it also allowed him to come to India as a winner, and he was also able to develop his concept of Satyagraha. Thereafter, we've now understood the 3 interventions of Gandhi in India and his aura and charisma and his basic approach. So I hope that all of this makes sense to you and there is no issue with regards to these 3 things we've discussed. Gandhi has now put his feet in India and now the British will need to change their approach as much as Indian nationalism will also change in the larger context. No issues? Okay. If there is no issue, we're done for today. Tomorrow, remember, please don't miss it. Tomorrow and day after, 2 very important days. We will start with the August Declaration as it is called. August Declaration of Montague. Then we'll go to Rowlatt Act. Thereafter, once we've understood the Rowlatt Act, we'll understand Rowlatt Satyagraha. We'll understand Jallianwala Bagh. Again, I will give you a very interesting perspective on Jallianwala Bagh because my own PhD, what we call as coursework, I have done a case study on 2 of these events, Jallianwala Bagh and Lahore conspiracy case, which is Bhagat Singh. We'll discuss Jallianwala Bagh. And then the most important discussion, Montague-Chelmsford reform. One of the most important constitutional changes, the concept of hierarchy, legislative decentralization, legislative jurisdictional centralization, decentralization we will discuss. And thereafter, non-cooperation movement. And we'll end most probably tomorrow with Chauri Chaura. Chauri Chaura and the calling off. Thereafter, on Friday, we will discuss Swarajist, no changes, Simon Commission, and the concept of Nehru Report, Dominion status, and we'll reach till the Purna Swaraj resolution of 1929. Clear, everybody? Civil disobedience, non-cooperation, we'll see when we'll see what is the difference. Right? Okay. Thank you. Just to give you a snapshot of what we are going to do further, as I said, please, 2 very important days. You can leave if you want to. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. And I hope everything you've done today is totally clear in your mind. Okay. See you tomorrow. Viceroy is how to study. I'll tell you, Shivaji. I'll give you the list also tomorrow. Don't worry. Bhave, both are equally important. The Byju's app one target prelims was based on the concept of current affairs teaching. On YouTube, it is evaluating that through questions. Have a very great day. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye. Governor General's name in Gandhian phase, I will give you, Rashmi. Don't worry. Tomorrow, same time, 5 o'clock. No, 6 o'clock. Why peasants get obsessed with indigo? They are not obsessed with indigo. They're caught up with indigo. There can be standard questions. Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad, standard statement-based questions will come, or discuss the role of Gandhi in Champaran, Kheda, Ahmedabad. Standard, very standard, straightforward questions. Vanshika, the chronological order is this only: Registration Act, then immigration, then poll tax, and then marriage. I've given it to you in chronological order only. I can't able to make notes from PPT. So you don't have to make notes out of the PPT. The PPT already is in notes faction. Never do that. You're wasting your time that way. I've made the PPTs in notes fashion. Rather, if you have to make notes, you make it out of the books, not out of this. Okay. Perfect. So I'll see you tomorrow, same time. Let's start. Roll it. See you. Bye-bye.